Good evening and a warm welcome and a return to the Cannon and Jonezy All Premier League show. Tonight is a transfer deadline day finale special. We are literally at 8:32 at the moment. The window shuts at 11 p.m. and it's all kicking off out there. And we're going to obviously show you all the coverage up to and including 11 o'clock. And hopefully there'll be some signings for the Arsenal as well. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Before I obviously get going, let me just obviously introduce my co-host. Obviously, we've done the Cannon and Jonesy All Euro shows, which were a massive success, and we're back now for the All Premier League ones, which starts tonight. Good evening, Jonesy. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. We must be doing something right. They want us back for a whole season, so here you go. You're going to get some. But no, I'm doing all good. Good to see you as well, and yeah, hopefully a busy last few hours.
No, definitely, mate. And it is good to be back. I really enjoyed the all Euro shows. A few segments in there, obviously a few laughs, but obviously more importantly tonight, the transfer window is about to shut. How have you found the transfer deadline today? It's been a bit of a roller coaster already, hasn't it?
It's been the usual, isn't it? Twitter meltdowns. We've had everything today. We've had a goalie come in, haven't we? So he hasn't been officially confirmed yet, has he? So we've got him to come in. But I found it all right. I've tried to stay away from Twitter as much as you can do. It's everywhere, though, isn't it? You see it everywhere, TV, the lot. But no, I found it all right. The business, I trust Edu and Arteta as much as, some people don't. Bringing in players is all about the right caliber as well as, quality. So whatever they bring in and whoever they bring in, I have full faith in them and will give them that full support.
No, you're definitely right, and I think you've done the right thing keeping away from Twitter whatsoever. I've been on there, obviously, putting stuff out, but it's a very emotional camp at the moment. So good evening to Andy. Finally back from his jollies. How you doing, mate?
Really good, thank you. Really good. All rested up and backfiring again.
Good man. And what's your thoughts on the current window at the moment?
Well, up until about half an hour ago, I'd have said pretty underwhelming, really. But now that things seem to have just shaken up again with the Sterling thing, could be interesting. And I'm still seeing things about Eddie possibly moving on. There's even a chance that Reece Nelson may be moving on that we keep hearing about. There's 4 Premier League clubs that are coming in for him.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, and I think they're the right things to do. Is they're moving the right players on, but are we replacing them? And I think that's everybody's concern. I think. Yeah. And then obviously we get the news of Marino doing his shoulder, which just further flattens it, doesn't it? So it's it's probably been a frustrating day for everybody. But as Jonesy said, there's some people on Twitter who've just gone crazy, and it's mad. If we can't trust this manager and Edu and the ownership of the club now, when are we ever going to trust them? Mm-hmm. Come, just trust these guys. I'm sure they're not sat at home just letting the day just pass them by. They've been working so hard in the background to get the players that they want. Mm. And if we could get Sterling over the line, then it's been a good window.
I'm guessing you're glad that you weren't playing in the social media era.
Oh, I'd have been tortured. Yeah, I'd have been, yeah. So definitely, yeah.
Oh, it is a totally different ball game nowadays, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So much pressure. And a good evening to George. How you doing, mate? Obviously, done the previous show. How did that go?
Yeah, it was good. It was meant to be mainly about Premier League, but we spoke about Arsenal for I think about 45 minutes of it. So, but yeah, it was good. I've basically done the opposite to you guys. I've kind of been on Twitter most of the day. So, I think that was what Jonesy was getting my rants with people I was ranting about on Twitter. So he was getting it like double hand. So he's getting it from me as well.
George was giving me a voice note update to let me know what was going on.
Yeah, I felt like the blind version of like when Peter Rodden Wingate was meant to go in QPR. It was a bit like that.
Yeah, I'll be watching you all day, mate. I've been watching you all day. I've been scouring down it. You've caught a few rods out there as well. To be fair to you, haven't you?
Yeah, I got called a sausage over Ivan Toney, so that was probably quite a good moment. I was quite proud of that in my Twitter life.
Yeah, well, I've been called much worse, mate. If it's a sausage, you're doing all right. You are doing all right.
It made me smile. That one did, so it was fine.
Good man. Right, we'll go into the chat now to say our good evenings. Good evening to Craig. How you doing, mate? He's in the chat, and good evening to Tarek as well. Two of your WWE boys there, Jonesy.
Yeah, no, just a shout out to them because they're currently playing pro clubs on FIFA at the moment, and they're watching us as well. So that's dedication.
That is dedication. So cheers, boys. Good evening to see Osborne. Good to see you on. Kirsten's in the chat, Andy. Saying hi, Dad. Good evening
there
to you.
she is.
Yep, watching you.
Your big supporter.
Yep.
Always good to see. Flag waving above her head at the moment.
Lovely. Good evening to Gav. Chelsea fan Gav is. Are you Sterling? Are you happy? We'll get into that in a minute because obviously that is the breaking news at the moment. So we'll have a conversation about that in a minute. And then you can find out our faults. I can imagine Chelsea fans are happy. You didn't really treat him too well, did you, last year? If I'm being frankly honest. So I think it's one of them where he's probably glad to get out and you're probably glad to lose him. Good evening to Retro Rewind TV. Good to see you on, mate. Good evening to the Arsenal Misfit. How you doing, mate? Good to see you on. Scrolling down, let's see what else everyone's got to say. Cannot believe Mourinho is seriously injured in his first training session. We will talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
The Arsenal Misfit's not buying Sterling. It has to be a loan where Chelsea pay off his wages because he's not worth 300k a week. I'm sure there's going to be something wrapped around that deal, and I think Arsenal played very cleverly today with that deal. It's good evening to Sam. Good to see you on, mate. And yeah, that's pretty much the chat. We have got G coming on pretty much soon. We should have Ryan coming on. I don't know if he's received my post, so I might have to send that over to him in a minute, but he will be jumping on, and we will have Mel coming on from the Arsenal Women's Show, which George hosts as well. And we will be doing a part around the Arsenal Women's transfer window, what's currently happened, and what potentially could happen to the end of their window. So, obviously, the breaking news tonight is Raheem Sterling is in. Well, Raheem Sterling in general, as we know, wants to kind of get out of Chelsea. It's publicly known, obviously, across the Chelsea manager and across Raheem Sterling, obviously things are not all well. There's been a lot of talk all day in terms of would Arsenal go in for him. We found out at 7:45 tonight, David Ornstein has obviously dropped it, that Arsenal are in talks, and it is now deemed that Arsenal in advance talks to Chelsea to sign Raheem Sterling on loan. I'm going to go over to you first, Jonesy, on this. What's your thoughts on the deal? Because for myself, I have kept quiet on it, and the reason I've kept quiet on it because I don't really share the same view as everyone else at the moment. I actually think it's a shrewd signing. This guy's got tons of experience. He's played in the Champions League. He's played for Manchester City. He's played in big events like the Euros and the World Cup for England. He knows what big games are all about, and I think he will bring something different into our changing room. What's your kind of thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I agree with yourself. To be fair, he's a class player. He's probably still within the top 3-4 wingers in the Premier League. At the moment, he's 4 times Premier League winner. Arteta's worked with him. He's transformed his game at City. You've seen the press conference where Arteta spoke highly of him. And let's face it, since City got rid of him and brought in Grealish, what has he done? City is still probably. They would probably still want Sterling back if they wouldn't have even bought Grealish. He's been shit. But for me, it's a no-brainer for the experience as well in the dressing room. Champions League, Premier League, he can still got the pace. He hasn't lost none of his pace. He can still finish. People forget, and people have short memories. Look at Kai Havertz when he got signed for Arsenal. All the shit that was coming out on Twitter and stuff like that. And fast forward to now, it's a completely different story. I know it might be just a loan and stuff like that because of his wages and high demands, but to me, it's a no-brainer. We need someone in for cover, for depth, and if you can get someone of Sterling's caliber in, what the fuck are you moaning about? That's what I've got to say.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think potentially a loan deal. We don't know what that loan deal looks like at the moment, but I can guess it's not going to be an obligation to buy at the start of it. I think it's good to just having him in on the year. It reminds me a little bit, if I'm being totally honest, I'm going to go to Andy on this. It reminds me of us when we signed Willian, but when we signed Willian, I think it was at the wrong time. I think this is a little bit different, and I think we've got the right squad of players now and the right kind of team to kind of afford to have this signing. And when you start looking at the players that we have got, like you look at the Sakas, you look at the Martinellis, you look at the Trossards, like you put Sterling into that equation as well. It's not like you've got 100. You've got to totally rely on Raheem Sterling whatsoever, is it?
No, absolutely. And he knows that if he's coming over to us, then whereas he might have been the top man at other places, you know, he's part of a number here that are all wanting to go on and prove themselves. But as to echo pretty much what Jonezy said, really, I think the key to it has been Arteta. His working relationship with him. There was an interview, I think, earlier in the week when he said his relationship was fantastic. Thinks he's a great guy. And, you know, when you listen to interviews from players who know Raheem Sterling, everyone speaks so highly of him. So it's going back to making sure he fits that mould of player that we want to get into the club. And Arteta wouldn't bring him in if he thought there was going to be any issues. And at 29-year-old, you know, he hasn't lost his pace. And a fit and confident Raheem Sterling will frighten teams to death. And we forget that sometimes. He gets a bad rap at times, but when he's on it, and if we can get in there and get him on it, and if he comes on loan, he's going to have to be, because he's trying to prove himself. So it's a win-win all round, really. It's a win for Sterling because he's back in the shop window, potentially staying with us or whatever. And obviously it's great for us because we could get that England-class Raheem Sterling that would be the envy of a lot of teams, to be honest. When I heard he was possibly going to Manchester United, I was actually a bit gutted. I thought, I want him. I don't want him to go there. So the fact that we're close to getting him now, and let's hope we can get it over the line. I think it's really exciting. And going back to the Willian analogy, yeah, you're right. It was a different time and a different place. Yeah. I just think an English international coming in, though, it's a different kind of different breed of player, really. He's more in keeping with what we do at Arsenal now than what we were doing when Arteta first took it on.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it is a different breed. We're playing a whole new, different style of football now. The team, let's be honest, the team from the defence into the midfield is pretty much set up. Like it is, we'll talk about Mourinho later, and it is unfortunate what's happened there. But when you look at it at the moment, for me, the front options are obviously the options that are going to kind of move us to the next step. And I just think as well, like I think last year in certain games, like I'd always go back to Lons away. If we'd had a Raheem Sterling, I don't think he played Saka that day. I don't think he played Saka that day. And sometimes I think that we overcompensated on Saka because he didn't really trust no one else out there. Where I think with Sterling, he'll have a bit more trust in terms of, do you know what? I can take Saka off and potentially we can rotate him and balance his game time out to keep him fresh before the end of the season. So, no, I'm really happy with the deal. I'm really happy with it. I was going to go over to Ryan, but he's just quickly died off one sec. So I'll go over to you quickly, George. I know obviously you wasn't too keen on it from the start, but I know obviously after a bit of a think about it, you've kind of adapted your mindset on it. Where are you at with it now with Raheem Sterling?
I think originally the reason I weren't as thinny with it is because of the players that we were linked with at the start. Like, if you're comparing Nico Williams and Raheem Sterling, I think there's a massive gap. But it's more like an opportunity now. So, like you said, he worked with Arteta. Like Arteta brought the best out of him at City. Like Andrew said as well, if we get the Sterling from England, then we're laughing, really. At the end of the day, he's not. If it's a drop, I won't be spending like 40, 50 million on him. But if it's a loan, and then like you say you get an option to buy, like you say, it's a no-brainer, really. Like with the Premier League experience, he's got that. Like we're saying that we want that winning mentality at Arsenal as well, and he's got that in abundance. But yeah, just to answer your question in a short, I've been a complete flip-flop, and I'm ready for Raheem Sterling.
Well, at least you've been honest about it, and but it like we said, like it's it's a good deal. There's good experience there, and I think like in terms of him knowing Mikel Arteta knowing him, I think it's a no-brainer for me. And yeah, we're gonna have to get him fit and get him straight into things, because obviously, interestingly enough, the next 2 games after Brighton, where he'll return, will be Tottenham and Man City away. So we are going to need that full squad and be able to kind of use these options that we potentially have on the bench for them games. So he will be a massive part of that, I'm sure. Just going over to obviously. Yeah, sorry, mate, go on.
I was going to say he might even push Martinelli to raise these levels as well.
Yeah, well, he can play across the park, can't he? He can play on the 10, he can play on the right, he can play on the left. It just gives us so many different options now. And for me, like in terms of that winger position, I think we got it buttoned down now with this signing, that we can go into the season quite confident that we can rotate. Good evening to Craig. He's jumped on for a little while. How you doing, mate?
Evening. Yeah, very well, thank you. Sorry for the late arrival. Plans sort of changed a little bit. I know Jonezy said we were on clubs, but I seem to be all by myself on that front at the minute. So I know Tarek's watching this, so I just said I'll jump on here for a little bit and then we'll jump on clubs.
And what's your thoughts, mate, on the Raheem Sterling news?
I mean, I've obviously only been catching up the last couple of hours because I'm back to work today. So from what I've seen and from what everybody said, it's a win-win, surely. You know, if we didn't sign anyone, fuck me, X would be in a meltdown, mate. We signed someone and everyone's still on a fucking meltdown. Like, you can't win. Like, it strengthens us. We've talked about this before, I think just us three, or some of us have chatted about it after the wrestling show. We need that depth. That's what we've been missing. And he gives us that across the front 4 positions, potentially, if somebody gets injured. So for me, especially if it's a loan, especially if they're prepared to pay some part of his wages, I believe you'd be stupid not to be happy about it. You know, I can't really say much more than everybody else has already said. He's got the experience. He's the winning mentality. I'm quite excited by it personally. Arteta's worked with him before at City. We look at what he's done with Kai. A lot of people slagged that signing off. Now a lot of them have got egg on their face, because he's done it. He's turned him into a sort, not the best fucking striker in the world by all means, but you've certainly noticed a difference from day one when he come in to now. So why not? Could that be the same story with Sterling? So yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm not annoyed. I'm not going to go on a massive rant on X about it. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Good man. And finally, we got Ryan back in. We decided not to go into the Neto talk till a little bit later. We wanted to get your full opinion on that one, mate. But
I did catch up on that bit, yeah.
But we'll leave that to a little bit later. But what's your thoughts, Ryan, on the old Raheem Sterling front?
Is he daydreaming? Is he all right?
He's speechless.
Can you hear me, mate?
Literally, it's all jumping from me, so I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, oh no. Can you hear anything from us at the moment? No.
It starts off all right, and then the internet just starts to crash and give me patches of everything, so I don't know what he said.
Oh. Raheem Sterling.
I'm assuming it's about Sterling.
Yeah, talk away.
Okay, right. In terms of Raheem.
Hold a sign up.
Let me see if I can do that. Yeah.
No, in terms of Raheem, like experience, he knows the league. He's a Londoner. He's been playing in London, so he doesn't need to adapt to London life as well. And he prefers competition, and he might kick up the arse. Now he ain't got Mikel to unleash Martinelli for a few weeks or months, depending on the situation there. He might be the kick up the arse that Martinelli needs, and also provide cover for Saka on the other side as well.
It's a string close like that, mate.
Don't know what happened there either.
I know about my haircut, but you don't have to show it.
I thought you just voted us all out. It was just you doing the show.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he does definitely offer us a lot of experience in there. Just some breaking news, guys, just coming in that I've just seen. Ipswich Town are in advanced talks to sign Reece Nelson on loan from Arsenal. That potentially opens the door for Raheem Sterling to come in. I'm going to go back over to you, Andy, on this one. Obviously, Reece Nelson's had some good moments. Obviously, the Bournemouth game is obviously the standout pinnacle moment for him. But he really hasn't had enough minutes, has he, since he's come back from loan in Holland to really kind of justify any kind of future for Arsenal for me. And I think at this moment in time is the best time for him to kind of venture out now and find himself at a new club. What's your thoughts in terms of Reece Nelson and Ipswich looking to sign him on loan?
I think for Reece Nelson, that would be a phenomenal move because he'll be. You'd expect him to be on the team sheet every week. From our perspective, if we get the right money for him, it's a good sale because he's in that Eddie, Emile Smith role mold where we knew they were good players, but we liked them that bit more because they came from our youth.
Yeah.
And we can get blindsided by that a little bit with our allegiance to our own players. But ultimately, they weren't good enough. They didn't have that little bit extra. Yeah. Which is what Saka's got, which is why he got himself into the side and he's just flourished from that point. They didn't have that little bit extra. They were really good players. Like Alex Iwobi, another one, similar category. Finishes like he's at Fulham now, probably loving life at the moment. And I just think that if that goes through for Reece, then I think fantastic. It's a great move. Like I say, as long as if we sell, we get the right money, or if it's a loan deal, then we'll see. But the worry already is for me is that we're not replacing these players that are going. We're depleting it. We're kind of an injury away from a bit of a disaster, to be honest. It does slightly concern me.
Yeah.
Imagine an injury to Saliba or Gabriel, particularly Saliba. You just worry. I know they brought Caliafori in as a left back stroke centre back, which is fine, but we're just a little bit light for me.
Do you think if we did get an injury to someone like William Saliba, that potentially if that happened, that Ben White could go back to right centre back?
Possibly, and then Timber can play his natural side at the right. But yeah, potentially that could happen, and I think that's possibly why they brought in the Italian lad as well, Califiori. Just as that extra bit of backup as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and going back to the Sterling thing, I was just thinking again, one injury to Saka would have been disastrous for everybody. It would be like the world ended. You bring a Raheem Sterling along, it's a decent replacement. One that would get you off your seat more than probably Reece Nelson or Eddie, for instance. So yeah.
And in terms of Eddie, because obviously you just mentioned him, right move, him potentially going to Crystal Palace. Do you think that's a good move for him?
Yeah, do you know, similar to Reece and Ipswich, going to Palace will be a great move. Hopefully it'll turn out as well as what it's done for Iwobi since he's gone to Fulham. Because ultimately I believe that is his level. He's never going to be a top 4, top 6 striker. He wouldn't play for any of the top 6 teams. But outside of that, great players, and they're going to be great players for them clubs they're going to. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I think he'll do really well there. I think they play a good. I like the way they play with their wingers, and I think he'll get a lot of service. He will. He up there, and I think. Yeah, again, like you said, top 6 club, a lot of pressure, isn't it? I think that just takes the pressure off Eddie a little bit, and hopefully he'll find himself, because there's been some good moments with him, hasn't there? Like when you start looking at, like, you got the hat-trick last year against Sheffield United. The Manchester United, for me, is the pinnacle when he scored the 2 goals and the winner in the 90th minute. But I just think he was always up for a hiding for nothing, wasn't he? Because of the standard that we need up there now compared to probably 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, when he first got in, he was brilliant. He was like a revelation. But ultimately, when you've got to string it across 10 games at that really high standard, that's when you'll see the good players can continue with that and get better. It didn't quite happen for Eddie in that sense.
No, it didn't. Sorry, mate. I've got so many people jumping in the background here. We've got more people coming on. So let's just drag him in quickly. George, I don't know where George went, but he's returned. So welcome, George.
Sorry.
And I'm going to be passing over to you in one sec, George, because just seen, obviously, Mel's come in. So good evening to you, Mel, as well.
All right.
All good. And we have got also G's arrived as well.
The yellow.
She's in her yellow. So you know it's transfer deadline day. So what I'm going to do now, guys, obviously we're going to hand over to George because we're going to obviously review the women's side of the transfer window, what's kind of happened so far and what potentially could happen from now to potentially when the season starts.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that, Liam. So basically the transfer window's obviously still open for the Arsenal women, well, WSL in general. I'll start with you, Mel. Obviously, reporting Cadenti and I'm probably going to murder this. Rosa Cafai. Are you happy with that so far? And obviously Van Donselaar as well.
I think, that's 3 very good signings. With Caldenti straight off the bat, we're bringing in a player with a winning mentality. Like she's won the Champions League, she's won the league time and time again. She's won the World Cup. Like there's not much as a player she hasn't done. So having somebody with that sort of experience and that winning mentality in the middle of the park is going to be very helpful. Rosa, I didn't know much about her coming in, but from what I've seen from her in pre-season, I'm already obsessed. I can't wait to see her play more. I think in her signing interview, she said that growing up she idolised Ronaldinho, and when you sit and watch her play, you can see that, and just her tricks and her turns, and even just her first touch. Like she does things that most people in the league wouldn't even imagine doing. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how she gets on in an Arsenal shirt. And with Van Donselaar, I actually saw her play in the Women's Euros when she sort of got chucked in at the deep end when the Netherlands starting keeper got injured, and I watched her in the Netherlands-France game, and I was sitting right behind the goal. And in that game, I was very, very impressed with her. So as a young player, I think there's a lot of talent that's there. And obviously with her coming in, she's going to have Manu to bounce off of. I think they're going to bring out the best in each other. But hopefully it's not another situation where we play one keeper 1 week, one keeper the next. I think that's never a good thing, especially when it comes to goalies. But yeah, all 3 very good signings that I'm very, very happy with so far.
Yeah, we won't talk about the other Dutch person. So
they'll come for you, George. If you mention her, they'll come for you.
Yeah, exactly. I have to board up my windows and everything. So yeah, is G here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'll come to you because obviously I know you go to the women as well. Do you think we need anyone else? Like, I know Kira Walsh has been rumoured. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously that's a big name, isn't it? And if the possibility is there, like, you've got to take it, regardless of what we've got. You've got to take that. She's unbelievable and would also be a big help and improvement to the squad. But I think having Leah Volti back, obviously she's had a few injuries, and there have been rumours of her possibly leaving to go to Real. So to have her back and hopefully staying, I think that's a huge win in itself. But yeah, it's one of those that it's, Kim Little's not going to be around forever, is she? So bringing in the likes of, unfortunately, you have to sort of maybe take that step and look for the future as well. Obviously that's very important, but yeah, I think we've done well so far. What we've brought in has been very good standard of player, as in, like, Caldenti, obviously she's won pretty much everything she possibly can do. I mean, that experience in itself, being a part of the big games on international and club level, is another experience with the younger girls that are staying in and around the team. It's going to be so much help. So I'm very happy with how things have gone, and yeah, we've got a little bit of time left, haven't we? So I'm sure there might be another one coming in, and hopefully it's Kira Walsh.
Yeah, hopefully. Jonesy, I'll ask you, I know you watch a couple of the games. Do you think that Cadenti and Cafe will help, like Leslie Russo burst on to try and get that golden boot?
Yeah, I do. I think we saw last season, Russo would get herself in these positions, but the quality of ball just wasn't, good enough to get in there. And with the players we've brought in, especially in that midfield, I think she'll get the service now that she deserves. And I really think it's a big season for Russo. I think she'll flourish. She'll definitely bang in loads of goals, I reckon. I'm well predicting, I'm speaking with a couple of other friends that 20 plus this season for the Arsenal League. So hopefully I'm right there. I'll put some money on it as well, to be honest. So let's hope she wins me some money. But no, I can't wait for the women's season to get going, to be honest. I'm just, not getting my Champions League patches yet, just until we get through. I made that mistake last year.
Yeah, we've got a humble Rangers first. Not that I'm biased at all. I was be thinking of you, Jonesy, if it's the last game of the season and she's on 19 goals. That could be a bit of a a
bit of a sweaty game.
Andy, you here?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think like the players like they're trying to bring in through so like Cadenti, Cafe, do you think they're trying to address the problems that they had last season, like with the low blocks?
Yeah, without doubt. It's a bit alarming actually, and when you look at how many players have actually left in this summer, is it 6 or 7 have gone? Or maybe some of them released as well. And then to only come in and sign 2 at the moment, is that not going to leave us a little bit light? Potentially, yeah. I don't know. And, if the Kira Walsh thing is rumbling in the background, then, she would just be one phenomenal signing. Probably one of the best passers of the ball in the ladies' game at the moment. I'm interested to see what Cadenti can do when she comes in. As G just said there, she's won everything in the game pretty much. So she could be a massive influence on the younger guys that are just pushing through at the moment.
Yeah, no, cool. Thank you for that. I do get what you mean, like with the letting some of the players go, because there are certain positions that I feel like we're a bit weak on. That I'm not very confident with us at left back if Steph Catley gets injured. So I don't know what you think about that. I'll come to you quickly, Mel, because obviously Katie McKay plays there. She's there sometimes. So.
Plays is probably a bit of a stretch at the minute going on her current form, but that's a discussion for another day. I think the backline as a whole were not spoilt for choice. We went from having 4 or 5 centre backs a couple of years ago. We've got 3, maybe. Obviously, Katie Reid's been playing a lot end of last season and sort of in pre-season, and coming up from the academy, she's been very, very impressive for a young player. So I wouldn't be disappointed if I saw her burst into a lot more of the first team games, especially sort of Conti Cup early games and FA Cup early games. But yeah, left back, if Steph goes out, your only real option is Katie, and the way that Katie's playing at the minute, not enjoying seeing her play as much as I have been before. But yeah, it's one of those situations where I feel that if he wasn't going to play Katie at left back, you could pull Veenreiter over and have Veen at left back, Emily Fox at right back. Because again, I think that fight for the right back starting position is going to be a tough one, because I know that Laura Veenreiter is very much a fan favourite, but when you see the talent in Emily Fox, I don't think she's a player that you could put on the bench. Not just saying that as somebody with her name on the back of their shirt, but but yeah, I think Emily Fox is an outstanding player, and considering we've only had her for a little while, she slotted in very quickly, and I'm hoping for more of the same with sort of like Caldenti and Rosa and stuff like that. You've got like the Swedish links in the team, you've got the Spanish links in the team, so I think stuff like that makes the whole integration progress a lot easier for players.
Yeah, and we've got Kim Little, and everything goes through Kim anyway, so that's fine.
Exactly, even though she spins around and round in the middle of the pitch like a wash machine in a cold cycle. for how much I love that woman, she does make me want to bang my head against the brick wall sometimes. But you'll never catch me saying anything bad about her.
No. Liam, are you here?
I'm here, mate.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the transfers so far? And I want to ask you about Caitlin Ford because I know you've received a lot of voice notes from me. Not very happy.
As I said, I think obviously with the Vivian, I think that, as I said before, I think that's been coming for a good year now. Even though she was off injured when we brought Russo in, it was quite evident that we had decided what route we wanted to go down. So even though obviously we've lost her and she was a massive player for us over the last year and a half, obviously she hasn't really been playing for us as such. So even though it is obviously a loss in terms of her ability, like we've already covered that position. I just think that obviously for me, like a winger was vital for this season, especially on the left hand side. And I think like if you can get the deal for Kira Walsh over the line, then the experience and what she'll bring to the table will be second to none. And it's going to be an interesting season this season, isn't it? Because we, like, as I said on the show the other night, you can't really judge what happens in friendlies too much. But you would fully expect, but Arsenal, Man City, and Chelsea to all be up there again. And yeah, we need to get over the line, don't we? Really.
Yeah.
And where we can do that, I think it all depends on how kind of Chelsea respond as well to a new manager.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, I think Jonas is under a lot of pressure for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know some of you are not his biggest fan. I don't think I particularly am. But yeah, G, I'll come to you about. Do you think, like, obviously with Viv going, do you think Beth will be? Do you think Beth Mead will be the same as she is, or do you think it could affect her a little bit?
I don't know, because it's not going to have come as a shock to her, is it? Because she would have been well a part of the internal conversations for probably quite a while of what Viv was going to do. So, and at the end of the day, she's a professional footballer. She's obviously been through that before when DVD 1 left a couple of years ago, and arguably had some of her best seasons, obviously before the injury, which was like a year or so after she had left. So maybe there might be a bit of confidence lost at the early stages, but I think she's better than that. At the end of the day, that football is your job, and regardless of whatever happens personally, she's played through a hell of a lot worse personal matters and stuff, and like I said, arguably had one of the best seasons of her life going through that. So I think she's a very strong individual, and I think she'll be absolutely fine. I am thinking, though, more so the first game of the season is going to be a bit odd, I think, because obviously Viv's coming back for the first time. Of course, those things always happen, don't they? The player that left always returns pretty quick. So I think overall that whole day is going to be a bit strange. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't really bring your personal matters sometimes into playing football, and I think Beth's way better than that. So yeah, we all have to move on at some stage, don't we?
Yeah. And I think obviously with Viv, it wasn't like a shock, was it? It was kind of planned. It was in the plans, I think, for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, she only obviously the season before, or the summer before she had the season of injury, she only signed like a year extension at that point. And she did an interview. I can't remember who it was with, but for Arsenal, and just sort of saying that she was obviously really happy, but then to just sign for one more year, it's just that year goes so fast in football, doesn't it? Especially by the time half the season is gone, you think, well, you're already going to be in that position again of, do I stay or do I go? So as Liam said, I think it has been on her mind probably quite a while, and of course then bringing in Russo, and yeah, her position as such being not taken away from her, but obviously Stina as well, the option she was going back of the pitch a bit more. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, as much as it's painful, sometimes it is for the best, isn't it? And it's the right time to sort of move her on now that we've got her through her injury and everything, and hopefully she goes back to her best, because that's all you can ask for, isn't it?
Yeah. a final point on the Viv stuff, Jonesy. Do you think that, because a couple of people have said that those fans that have got into, say, women's football after the Euros have been a bit unlucky that they've not seen the best of Miedemar, say, like what we've seen over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have got the best, don't we? The best version of her, and I still think, you know, she will do a job at City. As painful as that is for me to say, players like Miedemar don't just lose their quality overnight, you know, and she will still do a job for City. I might get pelters, but she could have still done a job for us. I was gutted to see her go. Still am gutted that she's gone, but we move on, you know. The club is the club. It's not one player. We've been in this position before where we've lost players of her caliber, and, you know, and we've gone on to do bigger and better things. So hopefully, you know, we do this season. I wish her well still, but sorry, City fans, we had the best. Unlucky.
Yeah, as long as you don't start clapping or cheering if she scores at the Emirates.
No, I'm not one of them. Don't worry. I'll boo her. I'll boo her like Mel. I think it was Mel who said she'll boo her.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be with you, Mel.
I sometimes fear what Mel was going to do. So.
I feel like after the reaction I had from booing Jordan Nobbs when she came on at the Emirates, I probably should maybe behave myself a bit more this season. But we're 1-0 down to Villa at home, and people are cheering for her coming on. I wasn't standing for it. I'm sorry.
No, you don't do that.
I don't know why you say things like that, Mel, because we all know you're not going to behave yourself.
No, I'm not.
As soon as those Jaeger bombs hit, right, the rest is history. Obviously, there was a couple of other transfers. So, like, obviously, Mary Ertz left, didn't she, Mel? Did she go to PSG?
She did indeed, yes.
Yeah. So, that sort of move, do you think that's good for her career? Well, obviously, leaving Man United is good for anyone, but
I think it's what she needed. She's very much one of the best goalkeepers in women's football at the minute, and I think she needs out of the WSL to go and prove herself on a higher level. And obviously, the way that the Man United women's teams go at the minute, they're losing a lot of their not higher known, but they're more respected players. Sort of, if I looked at the Man United lineup just now, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you who most of them are. But yeah, I think Mary Ertz is a phenomenal player. Like, there was the rumor that she was coming to Arsenal at one point, and I would have loved that. But at the same time, she has had some howlers, and I can't defend that. She's wearing an Arsenal top. There's only so much I can do. There was a whole season I spent in the trenches trying to defend Gen B, and I can't go through that again. But yeah, I think for a player of Mary Earps's caliber, she needs to be in the big game. She needs to be sort of in contention for Champions League and stuff like that. And it's not something she was ever really going to get at Man United, unfortunately for her. I know it was a club that she really loved and she loved playing there, but sometimes you've got to do what's best for you. And
yeah,
like Paul said, a club's a club. It's not about one player, and you've got to do what's best for you in your career to prove that you're worth the big money at the end of the day.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll go back to you, G. Obviously, Fran Kirby made a move. She left Chelsea, didn't she? I think she went to Brighton, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like a good move for everyone involved?
I think when it came out, it was a little bit of a surprise, wasn't it? Because you just get so used to be seeing her within Chelsea. But then when you think about it, the bigger picture, like obviously she's had her struggles, and then quite a significant knee injury that's kept her out quite a lot last season. Obviously missing out on England and bits like that. I think it's. I guess because the league is as it is at the moment, and it's obviously getting much more competitive. But I think everyone will agree there's the top clubs, and then it does feel like a little bit of a step down. But it's probably the exact thing that she needed to now with all the changes that are going with Chelsea, everything she's been through there for so long. I think it's a good step for her to just take away from it and to have a break, have a fresh team, freshly, all of it. And it might help her a lot more personally along the way as well. But yeah, but it's just sorry, get my words out. when it came out, I was a bit shocked, to be honest. But only because, I know transfers happen a lot more frequently in the women's game, but then knowing that someone's been at a certain team for so long, it is always a little bit of a shock when they do sort of move. And she moved quite quickly as well, I think. It was quite early on. So, yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly for her, it's probably the best step she could have taken, really, to get the game time and get back to how she was.
Yeah, they've made a couple of decent signings, haven't they? I think they just buy someone, Mel, from Barcelona as well, didn't they?
I don't know if they bought her if she's on loan, but they've definitely brought in somebody from Barcelona. They also took in Rachel McLaughlin from Rangers.
Yeah.
Not just saying this because she lives up the road from me and she's a very nice girl, but she's a very good player. It did always pain me to see her in a Rangers talk, but don't know if you can gather that by certain talks that are sitting behind me. But yeah, it's always good to see a bit more Scottish talent in the WSL. I'll never complain at that. But from what I've heard, that player that they signed from Barca is, I don't know if she's a young prospect, but she is a prospect. So for a team like Brighton to have somebody coming from a big club like that, it could really help them.
Yeah. Liam, obviously I know we've spoke about just going back to Mary Ertz. Do you think that's a good move for her? Do you think she's obviously going to be staying at that higher level?
Yeah, it was a surprise. I ain't gonna lie, it's a surprising move. I was quite surprised by the move. I was at the time hoping that we'd go in for her. I think me and G had quite a few conversations about it, didn't we? Yeah. So I ain't gonna lie, I was a little bit gutted that we didn't get her, but yeah, it's a decision she's made. She wants to go abroad. See how it goes. I kind of guess it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think there was I would have thought it should have potentially gone to an even bigger club, if I'm being totally honest. That's no disrespect to Paris, but yeah, I was kind of surprised that she ended up there out of the moves that she could potentially done, because she's such a top class goalkeeper. It'd be an interesting move. How she does over there.
No, I agree. Andy, I'll come to you quickly. Obviously, we were just saying that with Man United, they're losing a lot of their players. I think even their training ground's been kind of moved. Do you think there's a lot more what higher up Manchester United could do to support the women's team more?
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I mean, we don't know the full story, do we? Let's be honest. But the way that they're losing players at the moment, there's something drastically wrong with what's going on with their game. And, they've had this massive investment into the men's game. So why isn't some of that money being used for the women's as well? Because 2 years ago, they were kind of the team that were going to be pushing Chelsea to win things. And now they're almost like mid-table mediocrity, and people can't wait to jump ship, basically. So, I guess you'd be hoping that Ineos put some money into their project as well at some point, because if they don't, it's just going to get worse and worse. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind, 'cause it's Manchester United, but
who does? I don't even think Manchester United like Manchester United. Jonesy, I'll come to you because obviously I know you're a really big fan of Lauren James. Do you think she'll continue her form how she was last season with the new manager, and I think they've got a couple of new players in midfield?
I'll be quite polite, seeing that she gave me the two fingers at Kings Meadow. She probably will do. I still don't like her, but she's better than her brother. She'll probably have a good season with Chelsea. I can't see her slowing down, to be fair. It's horrible that a player of that calibre is that good at the scumbags. We're just going to have to grin and bear it. And hopefully McCabe takes her out for a bit longer and better this season. I don't wish injuries on anyone, by the way, except Lauren James.
He done the wink as well. He done the Ronaldo wink.
You couldn't even see it and you knew I'd done it.
Exactly. When me and Jonezy was at that game, I remember us singing about Basically, her brother was better than her. So
Yeah.
Probably wrap it up there because we've kind of covered all the transfers. Just want to thank Liam for giving me that chance to do that. Mel, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and I will see you on Monday to discuss my least favourite team in all football.
We're talking about Rangers, not Chelsea.
Yeah, it's a hard toss up between the two. I think Rangers takes the edge sometimes.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. G, thanks for that as well. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Well, we'll go back into the kind of window now, and just obviously looking at it is now 9:25, so we're an hour and 35 minutes away. The news is at the moment that Raheem Sterling's hopeful about joining Arsenal. Obviously, G, you haven't had any chance to kind of speak about this at the moment, so we'll go over to you with your kind of thoughts. What's your kind of thoughts getting Raheem Sterling in? Are you happy with the deal? Do you think it's something that will potentially support us for the rest of the season?
Yeah. I think at this stage, whatever happens, you've got to just accept it regardless, haven't you? I think it's a shame that it's also gone on so late in the day when it came out pretty much first thing this morning that there's an opportunity. Like, why on earth are they leaving it to 2 or 3 hours before the thing closes? I know probably for Chelsea reasons, but it's one of those, isn't it? Like, I don't particularly like him as a player. I never have done, apart from that Euros with England. But most importantly for me, I have faith in what we've been doing over the last couple of years. We've had Kai Havertz. We've all had humble pie on it, haven't we? It wasn't necessarily what we wanted or anything at the start, and it didn't go well. But look where we are now. So I have faith in whoever puts our shirt on. I'll back them 100%. Like Tony said there, he's got experience. He's played with Saka. He's played with Rice. Anything more that if we weren't getting anyone, that would be a bigger issue, wouldn't it? Like, at least we've got someone through the door. Hopefully it happens, of course. Hopefully it goes through all okay. But yeah, if we're going to win this thing, this is what the stuff we need. He's not going to start every single game, is he? But he's going to have the opportunity. And I know obviously Martinelli didn't have the best seasons last year, but I did see something to say that actually Sterling had much better goals and assists than him. So, he's bringing that as well. And if we are in that position where Martinelli is still, as we've discussed quite a lot this week, in that scenario, or, Trossard isn't doing it, then now we've got someone with experience to do so and put the ball in the back of the net and help the team. And really, that's the most important thing at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, because like when I look at potentially what we could experience this year, there was something like if we went all the way in every competition this year, which obviously that's a massive ask in any kind of stretch, we'd be playing every 4.3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start looking at, we'll be playing that could be potentially the request of this team and this squad. Do you think we got enough in that squad at the moment to combat that, or do you think we're going to have to potentially go back in January and review where we are at that point?
It's hard as well, isn't it? Because January is pretty much a write-off. I think this year, it was one of the worst windows for everyone, wasn't it? Because just absolutely nothing happened. And arguably up until the last week, this window has pretty much been the same. There's not a lot out there to grab, I think, at the moment. So we've done what we possibly can, I think. But yeah, does it matter if I think that? Like, we've got what we've got now, haven't we? If Nelson goes, that's probably, at this stage, I think it's a bit more disappointing. We could have just kept him and, again, rotation for the cups and bits like that. But, yeah, I mean, we've got what we got. Hopefully Marino isn't as too bad as what people are making it out to be, and he'll be back in no time as well. And then, look, we've got a handful of midfielders as well, haven't we? So, yeah. It is what it is at this stage, I think.
And just going to go over to you, Craig, obviously, G saying in terms of, because I know there's been a lot of people saying, I don't agree with it totally, if I'm being totally honest, that we're weaker this year than we were last year, which I find quite shocking, really, because when you start thinking that Timber was out injured for the whole of last season. Thomas Partey played a quarter of the season at best. Do you believe that we're weaker this year than last year?
No, definitely not. I think we're getting the best out of Kai. Trossard just seems to come on and give everyone the middle finger and say I should be starting week in, week out. Like, it's good to have that off the bench, though. I think we're in a better position now than we were. All right, people might say, oh, we've let Smith Rowe go. He wasn't playing. All right, we've let Rambo go. Wasn't playing.
Exactly.
You know, it's sad to see these players go. Don't get me wrong. I agree with people's, you know, sentiment behind it, but they were all on wages, not playing. That frees us up. They go and get first team football, which is only going to make them better as players. Hopefully, not when we play against them. But I wouldn't. So I think anyone who's saying we're weaker now than we were this time last year needs to give their head a wobble, to be completely honest, because I really don't think we are.
I'll be interested to go and get your views on that as well, Andy, because I actually agree with everything you said there, Craig. I don't think we are whatsoever. I just think that potentially we haven't gone out and brought the players that we potentially. I remember Andy last show of last season, we sat there and said what we kind of needed, and I don't think we've done that. But in the same stretch of imagination, we get Sterling in. I think the only key position for me that we haven't strengthened is the striker position.
Yeah, but I suppose it's one of them ones that you'd like to sit down with Arteta and Edu and just have a little conversation, because, all right, in the media we're linked with everybody, all and sundry up front, but I think they're really happy with what we got. I think it fits the system that he likes to play. Whether you can, you know, go and sign, for instance, if we went out and signed Ivan Toney or Gyökeres from Lisbon, are they going to come in and take somebody's place? I'm not so sure they would. I think that he loves having Havertz up top because it fits the system that we play, and he believes in him and he knows how to get the best out of him. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and like you said, I think I'd like to understand what like the striker position, because for me, Havertz is like he's going to play there the whole season. We know that at the moment. Like he's going to play there. Like every big game, he's going to play there. For me, Jesus is just not at this moment in time is not reliable enough, and that's my only concern with Jesus. He's out injured again. He's been out injured for quite a bit, and I that's what concerns me with him. And if Havertz has a dip in form, and Jesus is out, what is that next option? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly what it is at the moment. Could we potentially play Martinelli up top? I don't know. I think he's a bit ahead of this at times. I don't think that's really something that we should be going down the road of. I know people have said, but before, could he play up there? What is it? What is the next option? Because if Eddie goes, there is no other option, is there?
Well, I reckon it'd be Sterling as well, where he played a false nine for City, as I think Retro's put in the chat as well. He did it for when City were playing with Aguero up top. You know, he's capable of doing up there. I think he had a couple of games for Liverpool as well, to be fair. In the old, what was it, SAS, was it? What they were called up front for Liverpool. So I think Sterling's coming to fill three positions, you know. Cover as well, Martinelli maybe on the left, Saka on the right, and potentially, like you say, if Jesus is injured and then you've got Havertz, Sterling could be that other option. I know it's not ideal, but is there an attacking option out there that we want? You know, people are throwing around Osimhen and all these names out of the hats, but is there someone who the caliber, like Andy said earlier in the show, there's a caliber of player that Arteta wants. It's not just ability, it's the character as well. And I don't think Edu and Arteta have found that this window.
What do you think is the caliber? What do you think is the player they want? Do you think that Isak's the kind of player they want? Is that the player they would like? Like, I know there was a lot of talk about Benjamin Sesko. I remember I mentioned him at the back end of last season. Obviously, that didn't happen. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about it, but then he decided to stay. Is that potentially another player they really like and they'll keep an eye on?
Could be potentially, yeah, because like I say, we were linked with him for a while, weren't we? All over summer before even the Euros were happening. Potentially, we could go back in for him next year. Everything's different after a season, isn't it? He might want to move. You know, they might have a bad season. Some of it might happen, but I personally just feel we haven't found the right person. Or I could be completely wrong. I don't know. None of us know exactly, but I'm just going off of what Edu and Arteta have done previously with the people and the characters they brought into this club. I don't think Tony was ever the right character, and people probably slate me down. You know, it doesn't matter if they're the right character, if they're scoring goals. I think it does, because we've had the Aubameyangs, we've had the Kolosinaches, we've had the Ozils, and how toxic was that dressing room when we had them?
I was never a massive fan of Tony. Obviously, like local second team is Peterborough, so I knew all about his character, and his attitude stank there, and that's why, you know, for the good part of the last 6 months he was there, he didn't really play. You know, they saw it. He's gone to where he's gone, and Arteta's clearly seen that. Edu's seen it. You know, he hasn't got the right. All right, he might score you 15 plus, 20 plus goals in that team, but if his attitude and his character stinks, they don't want that around, do they?
I mean, it'd be good to hear from Andy. I mean, did you have any bad characters in the dressing room when you was playing and stuff like that? Did they really affect the team morale that bad?
Yeah, they do massively, and particularly when it's not going well. Yeah, they can be a real poison. Yeah, I've not come across that many, I'll be honest. But the ones that I have come across, yeah, the better managers ship them on as quickly as possible. You know, Arteta's he's got a clear type of player and personality in mind that he wants in his squad, and he won't sway from that. The Tony thing was never going to come off. He would never take the risk on someone whose personality is known to be a little bit iffy. So, yeah, it just didn't fit. It just didn't fit our molds, and I like the fact that we're sticking by this now. You know, so we know that when they do go on and they go and get a player, we know exactly what we pretty much know what we're getting in relation to the character, the ability, and whether they can adapt to the Arsenal way.
Yeah.
Just to obviously come in quickly, Romano's obviously just come out rallying Sterling and Arsenal deal at the final stages. So, yeah, it looks like that deal is definitely going to be confirmed for 11 o'clock. I just going back to you, Andy, because I'm like I watched Havertz in the first game this season against Wolves, and we took him off. We didn't take him off. We moved him back into midfield for the last 5 minutes, and I noticed a massive difference in terms of that last 5 minutes in terms of what he does for us. So if we keep Havertz fit, I don't think it's actually not really a problem whatsoever. Don't get me wrong; he can be a little bit more prolific at times, but everything else that he gives that team should get the best out of everyone else around him. And it was just interesting in that 5 minutes. I sat there and I thought, I'm missing Havertz up front. And it was only 5 minutes of a game, but I'm like, You can tell he's not up front, and you can tell it has an effect on the team.
Oh, honestly, I can't even begin to tell you how good the guy is. If you can just watch him, even if you just watch him for 15 minutes in a match, just look at his movement. You know, he can move into the right areas at the right times. He knows when there's overloads or where he can create an overload, and without even thinking about it, he's just got this natural ability to find the right areas. It's difficult to coach that. He's just got an instinct in him. The only thing that he isn't is he's not going to be a 30-goal a season man. He's just not going to do that. But he is such a good player, and I think he's come to a club where he knows that he's loved by everybody, the manager, right down the players. And when he feels that love, then you get the best from him. And I think that's what you're seeing at the moment. You know, going back to the mode of our players, I mean, there wouldn't be many teams that would have a Martin Odegaard as their skipper in the Premier League. But he fits that mode for us, that mould, and what Arteta wants. He's the intelligence, that, you know, the ability to communicate to everybody on the pitch. We've got people with speaking different languages on the pitch. He can talk to them. It's just a special sort of character that we're getting in, and I just think we're reaping the rewards of that in our results. Long may that continue, and keep to making sure that we do get the right personalities through.
Talking about the right personalities and talking about the players that we have got through. Obviously, the Moreno one's a bit of an unfortunate one, isn't it, mate? From your experience, I don't know, because obviously apparently it's a fractured shoulder. What would be your experience, potential length time that we could be looking at there?
6 to 8 weeks easily, and then you've obviously got to phase him back in. So we're not going to see him till the end of September at best, which is bearing in mind the saga that it's been just to get it over the line. We've all been waiting on tenterhooks for the last few weeks, waiting for that signature. And then we see a few videos of him training and what have you. Then we can't wait for the weekend because we might get a glimpse of him. And then next thing we find out, he's done his shoulder and we won't see him till October. So yeah, it's a nightmare for him. He'll be absolutely devastated. But so will the players. They'll be devastated for him. It's horrible. Just one of them things. But you know what, Liam? It's what happens at clubs. It's about being able to deal with that now. It is what it is.
Well, it's interesting. Like you say that, and it is that's the whole reason why we've got him into the club this year, because we had the situation with Thomas Partey last year, and by Christmas we was really struggling on our was at dead on our feet, weren't we, at that point, which obviously corresponded with the West Ham and Fulham results. And I know, it's gutting. I was gutted when I heard about it this morning, but in the same sense, I sat there and thought, okay, it's 6 to 8 weeks, but we have got at the present, touch wood, we have got to fit Thomas Partey back, who will get better with games, in my opinion. And I thought he improved in his second game to his first game, definitely. And as long as we keep them players fit, and we still got Jorginho there, get out the Spurs Man City games, we've actually got a bit of a nice run after that. So hopefully it shouldn't really damage us too much whatsoever. And I think my opinion, I know we had a chat separately, I think it would have been a bit of an embedding period the first month anyway, because the games we had. Yeah,
and I think the one player that I think we forget as well is Nathan Waneri coming through.
Yeah,
what a talent this boy is. So from all the kids that I've seen come through over the last 10 years, he is without a shadow of a doubt in that top 2 or 3 of them players. He's up there with the Sackers and Jack Wilshers and people like that when they first came onto the scene. So if we can manage him properly, it could be an extra special player there. I mean, you'd probably end up, for someone with his ability, you'd be spending 80, 90 million quid in the market at the moment. We've got him, in there as part of our plans. So he could end up playing a massive part for us. I think he'll be phased in a little bit more. You might see him maybe in the cup games. Yeah. But what a talent that kid is, and I think they know that as well. They're not afraid. Once Arteta puts them on the bench, he's then not afraid to stick them on the pitch. So I think you might see some pretty exciting times with him. He's excellent.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a prospect, isn't he? And with the Bolton draw, actually gives us a perfect opportunity, doesn't it? To
absolutely does, yeah.
Embed him into that game, especially as it's a home draw as well. I don't it was actually really nice to see that draw, because we've had a bit of a cropper, haven't we, the last few years in terms of draws. Getting I think we got Brentford away last year, didn't we? Then we got West Ham away, and it's just not. Yeah, it's just nice to have him though, isn't it? Because hopefully, like you said, he'll get 90 minutes in that game. Skelly will get 90 minutes in that game as well. He even
another good player.
I think he'll get some minutes in that game as well. Calafiori will definitely play in that game. You start looking at the players, and you think, it's a good game to get these guys up and running, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely.
We need him to get minutes, don't we? Really, at the end of the day, I know it's not easy just to throw 17 years old, throw a 17-year-old in there. But look at Jack Wilshere. I remember when we threw him in there, he just flourished, didn't he? So it might be that we just throw him in for a game. He does so well, and the confidence he gets from that just takes him to that next level.
Well, that lad at Spain done all right at 15.
Sorry,
that lad at Spain done all right at 15.
Yeah.
The winger, he was in a 15, 16-year-old, wasn't he? They just dropped him in, and he either sink or swim, and my God, he's flourished.
Yeah.
But, just going back to one area as well, I mean, just when I think back to when Eddie broke on the scene, Emile Smith-Rowe, Alex Iwobi, we all thought, oh, great young kids coming through, good players. There's something a bit different with one area. There really isn't. If you listen to the players' interviews and how they talk about him, even the first team squad are looking at him thinking, this kid's he's a bit special.
Yeah, no, Yeah, I sensed it straight away. I think. Do you know what the game that really done it for me was? What was the game he come on? He weren't the first game. He come on the West Ham away game, and I know we was 6-0 up at the time when he come on, but you can just tell that he oozed swagger. He was he just like was playing his natural game, but there was just a swagger to it, and I just I got really excited. Like, the Brentford game, like we didn't see nothing. He come on 3 minutes. You know what I mean? You can't do nothing, but he got a good 15-20 minutes in that game, and I was like, yeah, I really like what I see. He just totally reminded me of when Wilshere broke through.
Yeah, and remember how Odegaard was with him when he played as well. He was sticking in the ball all the time because the players trust him. When you was a young kid, know that they've got your back. It makes you feel like you're 10 feet tall. And I really do think that we've got someone really special here.
No, definitely, and I think I'm really looking forward to the Carabao. Even though I won't be going to the Carabao Cup game, I'm actually looking forward to kind of seeing what he does in that game because I think he will. I think he will flourish. So we are looking at the moment. The time is 9:45, so we've got an hour and 15 minutes of the transfer window remaining. Just going to go and have a look at obviously in terms of other clubs at the moment. So obviously Liverpool brought Chiesa in. What's everyone's kind of thoughts on that deal? Because I know he's he's been quite injury prone player, but the ability is definitely there. I've got to be honest with you, I didn't really see Liverpool. I didn't really think or see Liverpool signing him or being a team that would sign him. So I'm going to go over to you first on this one, Jonesy, and then go to G straight after. What's your thoughts on that deal?
It depends what Chiesa they get. If they get the glass ankles one, then you ain't going to see any much of him at all. Last couple of years, he hasn't done anything for Juventus. To be fair, I know he's been injured most of the time, but on the other hand, 12.5 million for a seasoned Italian international who's got European pedigree, Champions League pedigree with Juventus. If they can get him fit, then they've got a player. But that's a big if because obviously his record the last couple of years, as I said, hasn't been great. Be interesting. He's one to watch this season, I think. Yeah,
I like the money side of it. I think is an absolute steal. I'm just interested in how he fits into that system. G, have you seen much of him to kind of be able to kind of comment about him or where you think he'll go with Liverpool?
Only in the Euros that time before he got injured. And I thought he was a really good player. I think maybe like a couple of weeks ago there was potential like flying around about the possibility of like him joining us, which I was pretty buzzing with. But yeah, I mean, and I'll be completely honest with you, unless it's Arsenal, I don't really, or like the big games at the end of the Champions League, I don't really tend to watch other leagues or anything like that. So I can't say I've known much more of him the last couple of seasons. But it's strange, isn't it? It just came out of literally nowhere. So it was hardly like it was he signed for Liverpool. It was just like one day, oh yeah, we'll go to Liverpool, and then he was there. And now all of a sudden he's so happy to be there and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a bit odd. Maybe it's a bit of pressure knowing that they hadn't signed anyone. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, this guy's available for cheap, so let's just do that. Because then we have signed someone, and yeah, I don't really think they necessarily need him. But yeah, it's one of those when players that have his potential go up for a fee like that these days, it's bonkers, isn't it? You think, how is no one else swooping in there then? So yeah, I don't really see how he fits in. I think they're attacking what they've got is, especially winger wise, is already up there. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me.
Just breaking news: Man United sign Manuel Ugarte from Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah. I'm going to go to you. I'm going to go to you in a minute, George. Just going to go back to Andy quickly in terms of this signing, because obviously Manchester United for me have needed to get another midfielder in. Really, do you think this is a good signing for them?
Yeah, he's a quality player, breaks up play really well, and phenomenal passer with the ball as well. I think Man U have done all right in the market, to be honest. With the players that they've been able to attract in, I think they've been quite shrewd. and he is a very, very good player. Yeah, there was one point when we were kind of linked with him, and I was really interested in that, but sadly he's gone to Man U now.
Yep, yeah, definitely. So that's the breaking news. Sadly, Man United have signed Manuel Ugarte from Paris Saint-Germain. Just obviously, Craig's had to leave now. He was trying to say goodbye, but obviously was having a bit of a natter, so he's off to do his gaming. So cheers for coming on, mate. Russ Morgan's a fan of obviously the Chiesa deal. Just going to quickly go back to you on that one, Andy, because I didn't get your thoughts on that one. What's your thoughts on the Chiesa to Liverpool?
Well, for the fee they've got him for, I mean, I know we look at 18 million these days and we kind of scoff at it a little bit, but it's not a lot of money to play for someone of his ability. And it is like what people say, that if he can stay fit, he is absolutely outstanding. I mean, when you go back to them Euros, he was amazing for Italy. People couldn't get near him. Everything he did came off. Everything he did was at high speed. But whether these injuries have knocked him back a bit or not, I guess we'll soon find out, to be honest. But yeah, I think he's pretty decent, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good signing. I think it's an interesting signing. I don't know where it's going to take them, but I think there's going to be a bit of a adapting period at Liverpool now, isn't there, with Slot?
Yeah.
And, the way he plays, you can tell already that it's going to be a different approach to how kind of Klopp played at Liverpool. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't want to kind of run it down because I think it is like you said, the guy he's produced at the highest levels. So
yeah,
if he can return back to that form without any injuries, then they've got a good player on their hands.
Yeah, very.
Also, I just want to say, Russ, Mr. Morgan, I didn't realise it was your birthday today. If I did realise, I would have sent you an Ivan Toney card. So happy birthday, mate. I hope you've had a good one. Yeah, and keep aging, mate. Keep aging wisely. So Manuel Ugarte's gone to Manchester United. The other deal that I was obviously looking to go through at the moment is Jadon Sancho. So going to go to you on this one, George, first. So for me, I like Jadon Sancho. I just think that there's obviously been a relationship issue between him and Ten Hag at Manchester United. First and foremost, he went back to Dortmund and he got to a Champions League final. Is Chelsea the right move? I know he's getting out of Manchester United, but he's basically, for me, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like, we don't know. It's just Chelsea's just a weird place to be at the moment. Is he going from one hotbed to another hotbed as such?
Yeah, probably. Like being at Chelsea is like when you go to the boot sale, isn't it? Like you don't know who's you going to find. I'm a bit surprised that he wants to go. Not anything on Chelsea, but I would have thought he'd want to play regularly first team football, and like I can't see him getting that at Chelsea because he's going to be competing against Palmer, Makawaki, even and
Mudryk.
There's a lot of players in that one position. So yeah, it's a weird one, but maybe just desperate to get out of Man United, I suppose. Yeah, that was another one we were linked with as well, wasn't it? I think we've got a whole database of players we've been linked with like this window. So yeah, I don't know. Is it a loan deal or is he going there permanently?
I believe they've offered Manchester United 2 loan deals, one with an obligation to buy and one with obviously a buy option at the end of it. So they've given them 2 options. I expect the deal to go through because I think it's a bit like the Sterling. Chelsea needs Sterling probably out of the picture. Man United probably want Sancho out of the picture as well. So I just think it makes sense to accept it.
Do you know, Liam? Just on that, Liam. The bit that I can't get my head around in it, and I scratch my head with it, is any footballer right now, why would you want to go to Chelsea? Why would you want to go there with 40 people in there, professional footballers? They're all in these. I'm just thinking, am I just getting signed as a number here? Jadon Sancho is another case in point, very similar in some respects to Kai Havertz. If he feels the love of the management, of the club, of the team, you've got a different player. And that's what he got when he was at Dortmund. You could see by the way that they embraced him, let him go out and flourish and express himself. he's been completely stifled at Manchester United, you know, and his confidence is at an all-time low. I just don't understand why you would even contemplate going to Chelsea when you can see what's happened to Mudryk. You know, you got Madueke in front of you. You got what, another 10 wingers or whatever they've got. I don't understand why these professional footballers would actually look at Chelsea right now and think that's a viable move. I can't get my head around it.
I forgot about it.
They're just a bunch of. It just feels like they're a bunch of crooks, you know, trying to bend the rules as best they can to get as many players in as they can, without any real thought behind that. So why these players are having conversations with Chelsea, I'll never know. Honestly, you can offer all the money in the world, but if you've got something about you, I just don't think you would even contemplate going there. It's just.
No, mate, that's what I was saying. Like, it just seems to me that Sancho's going for one bad place, and that's about, well, it is one bad place in terms of what he's experienced, to another bad place, and he could eventually end up in the Sterling situation. Now, let's be honest, Sterling, I think, is quite a lucky boy, if I'm being totally honest, because he could have been shafted there, couldn't he, this season, and he wouldn't be playing football. Like, I think he's quite lucky that he's going to end up at a club in Arsenal's calibre at the moment, where we pretty much got a team embedded. So he hasn't really got...
I'd say it's a bit like Ben Chilwell, unless he'd leave him. But I think he's going to be basically just left on the scrap heap. I think Chilwell would do a job at some Premier League teams.
Well, it's interesting, the Ben Chilwell one as well, because he was linked with Manchester United, weren't he? Which, again, is a bit of a strange one when you think that it's probably the two first choice left backs for England could potentially be playing at the same club, which is a bit of a strange situation in itself. But I do think Raheem Sterling's quite fortunate that he's going to get out of Chelsea and end up at Arsenal. I do think that. I do think he's quite fortunate in that sense. But also, I think he's proven in the years that he has got the ability to affect and change games. And I think he deserves that kind of move, if I'm being totally honest. But Jadon Sancho, I think, I don't know. What do you think, Andy? Is it the agents as well? Agents driven? Is his agents advising him wrong? Because like you, it doesn't sit right with me that he's leaving Manchester United to go to Chelsea.
Not at all. And agents have a massive impact now, because it's not just an agent anymore. It's a whole team that are involved. In some respects, that's what's let Raheem Sterling down, was his team's decision to put the statement out on the day of the game. I can't believe that Raheem Sterling would want a statement like that to come out if it was down to him solely. But they have teams that are responsible for him, and you know they've took that decision, I think, over the top of the player. This happens across the board, and a lot of why players end up going to Chelsea is because they end up lining the pockets of agents as well. So, do you remember Brian Clough years ago saying that he never wants to deal with an agent, leave him outside the office? They're a massive part of the game now, and the fees that they talk about quite often are fees that we'd be more than happy to get as a footballer. These agents are getting paid millions now, millions. And as I say, it's a whole team that then of people that come with him.
Cloughie would let's be honest, Cloughie wouldn't be liking with the way the game's gone nowadays, would he?
Oh, he'd hate it. He would absolutely hate it. Yeah. I watched an interview with him on, it was on X yesterday actually, but it was an old interview when he was talking about Rupert Murdoch and Robert Maxwell. Yeah, and it just no holds barred, typical Cloughie interview. It was class.
Do you know what? Even still, I'd always go back and watch the Cloughie documentaries. Only every other couple of years, but what a man that guy was, eh?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable in terms of what he achieved as well. I think obviously with the Jadon Sancho one, that one is happening. So that pretty much should happen. They're close to agreeing a deal. Sky Sports are reporting. It is one for you. Ryan Fraser's agreed a 2-year deal at Southampton. I forgot he was even around still, mate, to be honest.
Where was he from?
Do you remember when everyone said Arsenal should buy him instead of...
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, some of the fans were desperate for him.
along with Lewis Dunk, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Fraser, Lewis Dunk, and James Maddison. How worse off could we have been?
It's just nice to sit here in it on a deadline day, and we've got some business because we've had some right shockers the last few years. Us lot that have been on it.
Yeah, last January was the worst, wasn't it?
Can I just ask real quick, because I've obviously been out this evening and I've only very quickly looked at my phone to see the Sterling thing. What is is it a loan? Is it to buy? Is it what's actually the deal?
Yeah, no one really seems to know the deal at the moment. All we know is a loan. So I don't think there's going to be any complications in it. I just think it's going to be a loan for a season, and then we decide whether we want him or not. It depends how he does this season, doesn't it? Really, if he goes out and smashes it, then you'd keep him, wouldn't you? But if he doesn't, then I think we just send him back to Chelsea. So I think what we've done is we've waited to the last moment, haven't we? And we've kind of pushed Chelsea into a corner with it. Yeah. And they don't want Raheem Sterling in that squad at the moment. The man, I thought the manager's words for him was pretty harsh, to be honest. Like, we're talking about a professional player who's played at the highest level. It didn't sit right with me. But at the same time, I don't think Chelsea could afford to have Raheem Sterling lingering around the club for the next 3 to 4 months. So I think they've been backed into the corner with this one. But as you said, they're pretty much losing Sterling and then getting someone else in like Sancho, which potentially, like we've said, could end up being the same situation. But I believe the Sancho one's only a loan deal as well. So we'll see how that one goes.
I was going to say, Liam, about Chelsea, like the way they treated their players. Like, I'm not a great fan of them, but like how they was with Conor Gallagher, how they've been with Trevor Chalobah, like they're like a Chelsea players from the youth, and then how they've been with Sterling. Like, surely the other players that have been bought or are looking to be bought must be looking at thinking, oh, that could be me in 6 months.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. What's saying there that I don't. He believes that a Chelsea fan said that they're expecting a transfer ban at some point. They could be stockpiling for when that happens. Yeah,
that's what I said. Yeah.
It just amazes me how they can just carry on buying players like no tomorrow. And we're talking about. It seems to me that a lot. And I was going to go to you about this, Andy. Funnily enough, yeah, right. That when you look at what Arsenal have actually spent in this transfer window, it's pretty much nothing. Is what we kind of recruited.
Yeah.
So, do you think there could potentially be a reason behind that in terms of FFP, or do you think that obviously it's just more that we're just being shrewd and we can't quite get the player that we want in?
I think it's a balance of both, really. I think we always are and always will be a club that's really well run. The whole Chelsea thing just stinks. And I think everybody knows that as well. I mean, it's almost like, we all know there's something not right across there at Chelsea. Yet they keep signing players and players keep going there and signing contracts for 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, what is that all about? I mean, I know these are just ways and means of getting around the FFP by lengthening the contracts. But again, I go back to the individuals and like, why the hell would you want to go there and just be a number? I can't honestly get my head around the whole thing. I think everybody should just boycott Chelsea. See what happens then.
Yeah, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely lovely.
Yeah. But it'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great for us to get Sterling though. Andy comes in and performs. To think that in the last year we've took Havertz and Sterling off them, and they've whinged and moaned about both players, and yet they come to us and been revelations. I'm just sure that the difference in the club, the structure, the management, everything.
Yeah, they paid Leicester in the FA Cup last year. I remember he either he was starting or he come on, and the fans were booing him and everything. And I was just like, it's just like I've always said to Jonezy, he knows my faults. Like if you said, and this is quite a controversial one, if you said to me, one had to go out of existence, out of Chelsea and Spurs, I'll choose Chelsea all day long.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you always want the rivalry with Tottenham.
Like the rivalry has to stay there, but do you know what I mean? Like. Least Spurs do things or try and do things like in a legit way with Chelsea. They've just basically abused the system now for the last 20 years. And I just look at the way they're conducting everything now and the way they're treating seasoned professionals, and it don't sit right with me. Do you know what I mean? And that will continue. Unfortunately,
Do you know,
that will continue.
Even when I think back to the time when I was there, they were a classless club then. They really were. It was just, and even though it was a different structure completely, that when you used to go there, it was never like what it would be when teams came to Highbury to play or to our training ground and whatever. They've always been a scummy club.
Yeah.
How should it make it that they've always been like that? But they're just a scummy club that all of a sudden had a load of money and a corrupt guy to run it. I've got to be careful. I'll have Russian snipers outside the window.
Be careful of that tea you drink later, mate.
Yeah, won't be eating any food tonight. Yeah, no takeaways.
I'm being put on the spot here. Can I give you an in-depth to the Leeds player that got signed today? So Al Tanaka got signed by Leeds United today. He flew over yesterday for obviously to be signed up. He played for Dusseldorf, and he actually scored 8 goals in 52 appearances, guys. So yeah, and he's played for the Japan under-23 games league, and he's obviously scored 2 goals in 18, and he's also scored 8 goals in 27 games for the Japan national team. So there's my in-depth review on that Al Tanaka, who has signed from Dusseldorf to Leeds today.
Impressive. That's impressive, Liam. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I'll thank Wikipedia for that one.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
You could have got away with that.
Yeah, well, mate.
So I can't even see that.
Yeah, no. And to be fair, right, he's played 108, 158. He's only had 160 appearances. He's only had 160 appearances, this guy.
Is that right? Right.
Yeah, he was born on the 10th of September, 1998. So he's not actually, what is he? He's not even that young, is he? He's 26, coming up to 26. And it's his birthday in 11 days' time. So there's a little bit more of a fact for you.
He's got a lot of quality. He might keep Leeds up this year.
Yeah, he might do. And he's 5'11" as well. He's 5'11".
Same as me.
I was going to say that. Also, I was also saying as well, with it being Russ's birthday, is that down to him that Ivan Toney's leaving the country then?
Oh, well, Ivan Toney. Yeah, no. I reckon Ivan Toney's going to bang on his door before he leaves, mate.
Yeah, so especially on Russ's birthday as well, Tony's had it.
Yeah.
He's like, he can't deal with it.
I think that's the best present that Russ could get is Ivan Toney leaving the country. He absolutely is not an Ivan Toney fan. So I think Russ is having a really good birthday today. Yeah. Obviously another deal that's happening. Scott McTominay going to Napoli with Billy Gilmore as well from Brighton. This is an interesting one, isn't it, Jonesy? Because Billy Gilmore's kind of traveled around a little bit now. Obviously he was at Chelsea when he come through the system. Mm-hmm. He was never going to break through at Chelsea for obvious reasons. He's gone to Brighton. Now, he played some minutes there, didn't he, last year? But it hasn't really materialised, and his playing career at present hasn't really gone to where he probably would expect it to be gone. But he's going to Napoli, and so Scott McTominay. What's your thoughts on both them deals?
It's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, Gilmore hasn't pulled up any trees, has he, in the league? There is this hype around him, though, isn't there, with the Scottish national team and stuff like that. I feel as though I shouldn't be talking about Scotland, but I just feel Napoli, for them both to be in there, 2 Scottish central midfielders, is a very strange deal. And it's weird even for the McTominay one, for United to leave him, United, because he's been relied upon at United in times. He's got some important goals for them last season. If anyone was going out at United midfield, I thought it would have been Casemiro, but he's still there. But yeah, it's a very strange deal. I don't know where Napoli. I don't know what they're doing. Literally, that's how baffled I am with that transfer. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it's literally like, what? I had to look at it for like 3 or 4 times to make sure it was the correct names. There weren't some South American players who I was pronouncing their names wrong.
I think, actually, in fairness, I think I'd have to slightly disagree with you guys there. I think Gilmore at Brighton's been superb. He fits that system just perfectly. And if you look at his performances last season and start like the few games that they've had this season, he's been exceptional. He was superb against Manchester United. He is a very good player. Probably, for me, a better player than McTominay. different sorts of players. Though McTominay's kind of a more box to box, whereas Gilmore will sit in a system in that midfield area. So if they play him right, hopefully you can go out there and do a decent job. But it's a strange decision to take two lads like that across there and stick them in your centre mid.
And I think that's what the weirdest part of it is, isn't it? Isn't that they're going to buy in these two players? Because I think, like you said, like Gilmore, what he's done at Brighton, and McTominay, he's impacted a lot of games for Manchester United and Scotland, to be fair to him. But it's just interesting, isn't it, that they're picking these two guys that's going to the Italian league and Napoli. I think that's the bit that's quite baffled. Well, it's definitely baffled me. But yeah,
it's a very strange deal.
I didn't expect it. Ross is saying that it's party time. Tony's leaving England, so he's celebrating. Just on this, Andy, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, the bit of respect that I have for Ivan Toney is kind of gone now because, like, you're in the England squad, he impacted the game in the Euros. I thought Southgate sold him down the river a little bit by some of his comments after. I didn't think he needed to come in and say what he kind of said out stuff that he got with seconds to go. But why is it why would you go Saudi Arabia now when like you still got an England career?
Again, it's going back to individuals again. It's like, you know, saying why would a player want to go and play for Chelsea? For these Premiership footballers these days who are all multi-millionaires anyway, yes, I know that £600,000 a week is not bad. But for someone who's worth millions, he must be worth a few million anyway, so money's not an object to him anymore. For me, you'd want to at least stay in Europe and push for honours. But I think that maybe shows a bit about his personality, though, to be honest, that he's quite happy just to take a step back in the Premier League. I'll just go and earn a load of money in Saudi Arabia. Probably speaks volumes as to why we didn't follow through and sign him when he was kind of up for grabs at the time. And the rumours coming out there were that Edu and Arteta didn't like the individual. And that move today just probably sums him up and his personality up, really. And good luck to him. £600,000 a week. You know, you're going to keep your family's family. You're going to keep everybody happy by taking on this contract. But no, again, it's just maybe I'm a bit old school, but you know, you stay and you prove yourself in your country, especially in our league, which is pretty much up there with being one of the best and most watched leagues in the world. Why wouldn't you want to stay and fight and play for that every week than in front of 600 people in Saudi Arabia? You know, it's all of it. But all of these players that are going out there, I get the ones that are at the end of their careers. I get that, and I know he's getting on a little bit, but he's got another 2 or 3 years, surely, where he could come in the Premiership team. I saw him linked with Tottenham at one point, and that's the sort of club I would expect him to go to. Spurs, he's one of their sort of players, you know, a little bit rogue, and his personality would fit Tottenham. Like maybe he's different to us, but I think old school mentalities need to change, and I need to think about the present. But my God, if I'm a multi-millionaire anyway, do I really want to go to Saudi Arabia and £600,000 a week? I'll just stay where I am on £300,000 a week instead. It's mad.
Breaking news from Tony saying that the deal for Sterling is very, very close. You know this one's running till 10:59 tonight. That's where this one's running to. It was always running from the get-go, weren't it? It's 10:59 tonight. I'm sure they play on with it, you know what I mean, to fulfill the drama of the Premier League and the transfer window. Bring you in, G. In terms of the Arsenal transfer window at the moment, what would you rate it out of 10? With Sterling signing.
Do you know what? I'll say a strong 7, because at the end of the day, it may not be the massive names that we were all maybe hopeful for, but we've got some of what we needed, and more importantly, we've got rid of some players for once. And we, like we said before earlier this week, we've held out for the prices we valued them at. We haven't just let them go or terminate their contract, or, you know, taken much less of a fee just to get them gone, like we've done in the previous years. We've held out for the money that we wanted. So I don't think it's as bad as people are making out, and I'm so glad I've been out this evening and not on on Twitter because the bits I was looking at it my breaks today. It's been me and Jonezy were even messaging each other, just thinking, "Oh my god, what is wrong with these people? Like, go to work." Like, come on, it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is. And at the end of the day, we have zero control in it whatsoever. We'll still support our team through thick and thin. We should do, regardless of who is or who not is not wearing the shirt anymore. So yeah, I'd say it's a 7.
I've got another quick thing to ask you. Pop it up now. 2.1 thousand views on the El Smugger and G show on Tuesday night. A record for the show.
Well done, guys.
It's madness, isn't it?
done.
Yeah.
To think that we're all just like sat in our rooms or whatever in our houses, and then you think back to like the very first couple of ones we did when you'd get like 10 views if that.
Yeah.
And the slog that we did at the beginning and watching all the crap, the tough times that we sat here and talked about certain games and got through it. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to think that people care enough to want to listen to us just have a chit chat.
Just give Andy a bit of back insight in terms of where you're suggesting. I know where you're suggesting. Jonezy and G actually made their debut on the same afternoon. It was when we lost 5-0 to Manchester City away, and Shaka got sent off after 10 minutes.
Oof.
That was a tough show.
You don't want to come back.
Straight after,
After.
the game finished.
Straight after
we
the
all
show.
went live.
We went live straight after because
Go on.
it was pretty much just after COVID, weren't it? So there was still COVID kind of restrictions, rules, and all that kind of stuff, weren't there? And we went live, didn't we? And I did actually think these two guys ain't going to go live. Like, I didn't want to go live. They didn't want to go. Now.
But we did it together, didn't we?
Well
yeah,
done.
we did. So no,
Brilliant.
well done. Brilliant to kind of see, and we'll just keep revolving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over to you, George.
Are you going to keep revolving or evolving?
Evolving. We're evolve and revolve.
You're going to keep revolving. Yeah, I'm not all about that. I'm not spinning.
Gonna go over to you, George. In terms of obviously the remainder of the transfer window. Obviously Mark Guay, there has been a massive talk over the summer and into the latter part of the window that he was going to go to Newcastle. I've got a bit of respect here for Palace because I think if they'd sold 2 centre-backs in the space of a week, I think they would have found themselves in a relegation battle, if I'm being totally honest. I think it'd be an absolute criminal to sell you 2 centre-backs in a week. So to kind of keep him and demand the money they wanted for, and let's be honest, was probably one of the most impressive players in the England Euros. Do you think first and foremost that they're right to kind of demand that 75 million for him? And secondly, do you think they needed to keep him this season due to the fact of losing Johan Andersen to Fulham?
Yes to both. I think, like what you've said, he was one of the most impressive players from England in the Euros. I respect Crystal Palace as well because, like you said, I definitely think they would have been in a relegation battle because if you lose Anderson and Gay and then Elise all in one transfer window, you're basically ripping the heart of the team apart, aren't you? I'm kind of glad they would offer it, like saying that amount of money because it's Newcastle. It's not like Newcastle. If it was the other way around, they would do that, wouldn't they? Like look at people like Bruno Guimaraes and Isak. So, I think Crystal Palace are going to be happy. Obviously, they've kept him because the manager said today, no way was they selling him. He said to the board he didn't want him to go, and they've obviously held firm with that. So, fair play to Crystal Palace, really. And I think they brought another defender in, to play alongside him. So I'm not going to lie, I've not got Wikipedia up, so I don't know how good he is. So, and I think they've done okay business. Obviously, if Nketiah goes through, I don't know, has that gone through yet?
Nothing's been out there, is it?
Mate, I'm dreading it. I've got nightmares. I can just imagine Eddie and Nketiah's having to be dragged out of the door, like he's cleaning at the door handle or something. Yeah, that just needs to get done.
Mate, you're just bitter because you missed his hat-trick seal.
I'm not, Liam. I am not biting at that. I am not.
Not as bitter as I had to. So basically, Andy and the G's, they had to. It was George's big birthday. Sheffield United, so they had to leave at half time. So obviously,
Because of Austin. Like,
yeah. So, but he got his comeback on me because when we played Porto in the Champions League, weren't it? I had a big work meeting the next day, so I had to travel over to Swindon on a train. So the last train was 11:30 at night, weren't it? So I had to leave at extra time. So I was sitting in Paddington train station watching the penalty shootouts via Arsenal.com, just waiting for a tick and a cross to know what we actually did. So yeah.
I don't know what's worse, watching.
Oh, that's much worse than missing Eddie and get his hat trick, mate. I can tell you that.
Because we could hear it, couldn't we, Jonesy? Like, we heard it in Morrison's. It was fun.
Yeah, what pissed me off even more, mate, was your brother was late, so we could have actually stayed to watch the game.
And then you got sunburn on your eyelids in his car.
Yeah, his heating was broken and I was burnt.
He looked like Ben White when he left.
But yeah, that was a bit of a painful one, not seeing that penalty shootout. But we'll move on. We'll move on. Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously, he's moved to Southampton today for, I believe it's 18 million start off, isn't it? But it could go up to 25 million. I'm going to go over to you on this kind of first, Jonesy.
Yeah.
With the Ramsdale move. I think it's a quite strange situation with Ramsdale. Like, he's left a relegated he had 2 relegation battles. He's left that kind of club. And now he's gone back to that kind of club. I don't think he deserves to go back to that kind of club. Like, that's what I was thinking to myself, saying, like, I thought someone better would have gone for Ramsdale and picked him out for 18 million.
Yeah, it is a strange one. As a club, it's good because we haven't sold to a direct rival or anyone that could potentially harm us. But in a way, for his career, it's a strange one. But then, you know, has he got unfinished business there at Southampton? Obviously, a relegation club, he could try and help them out and keep them up. I know his record ain't great with clubs that have come up in relegation battles, but yeah, for 18 million, there's other clubs in this league who are, you know, bordering on Europe and stuff like that, who you would think would be in for him, or even clubs abroad. It was a strange one when it come through with Southampton because obviously I was like yourself, so I thought he would have gone to bigger and better stuff. Well, not better than us, but, you know, another club. But good luck to him, though. He's a top lad. You can see by the reaction today of him leaving, the comments and stuff like he was getting. Even the tribute video he got from Arsenal was lovely to see. He's going to be held quite high regards to the club because, you know, he helped us get back in the Champions League. Let's not forget. It's just a shame we never saw him in it or he got to play a game in it. But no, I wish him all the best. He's a top goalie. Deserves to play. Doesn't deserve to sit on the bench week in, week out. You know, and quietly, I'll be keeping an eye on Southampton to see how he does.
Yeah, I'll go with you, Andy, on that. What's your kind of thought process around it? Still very young, Aaron, isn't he? Could it be a stepping stone to something else?
He is. Yeah, but we talk about, you know, could he have got a better club, someone a bit higher up? I'm not sure there's many clubs. If you think about our top 6 teams, who would he play in front of in any of that top 6? I'm not sure there's anyone, to be honest. We all love Ramsdale because of his personality, and, you know, he loved the club. You know, his relationship with the fans was amazing. With his colleagues, it seemed to be just fantastic. But, you know, ultimately the one that makes the calls, his manager, brought in someone above him, which obviously upset 85% of the fan base because one of their little favourites was having to move on. But he's proved to be right in that decision that he's made. You know, and Ray has come in and he's been a breath of fresh air. He's been phenomenal this season. So, you know, it is sad when you lose a personality like Aaron Ramsdale. But I think in some respects, after us, I'm not sure how much further up he could go in the chain. I'm not sure he could, to be honest, if I'm going to be quite harsh about it.
Okay.
If you look at set pieces now, you know, the other night I was watching Everton play and they were saying it was like their attacking players were like 6'3", 6'4", the 6'6s, and Ramsdale can get eaten up by that a little bit. And you can't ever forget them couple of games when we conceded early goals, and you've got to ask the questions, particularly the Bournemouth one. He wasn't awake. He wasn't switched on from the first minute, and that's unforgivable to Arteta. And I think that's why that ruthless. We know that he's got a ruthless side, and he's done that, and he's, and he took the flak, for making the call to move him on and put Raya in there. But you know what? He's been proved right again.
Do you think
we wish Ramsdale all the best? That's the most important thing, 'cause he seems like a cracking bloke.
Like, I know his dad went onto a podcast and all that. Maybe I ain't the right person to ask the question.
I'm not sure that helps sometimes.
That's what I was going to say. Sure, that must have ruffled up the club the wrong way as well.
Yeah, without a doubt it would do, and I'm fairly sure that the club will have spoke to him about it, because ultimately, when you're on the pitch, you're representing Arsenal, but everywhere you are outside of the pitch and your family, particularly your dad, I don't think he's sat right. It's not a very Arsenal thing to do, is it? I can't think of anybody else that maybe has got a father to go and be a bit larger than life and a bit of a character around the place. So I just don't think that didn't help him, I think, in the end.
No, I was very much like that when it happened. I was very like, do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a wow. I can't believe that his dad's actually gone on to a podcast, like, because you're putting your son under the bus really with it as well, ain't you? Whatever way you look at it, like, the best way to answer back is by going on the pitch when you can give him that chance and perform. And if I'm being really critical with Aaron, he fell to pieces when the whole situation happened and he played the games. Like, you look at the Brentford away game, he got out of it massively. I think there were some really dodgy moments. And then you look at the Brentford home game. I love Aaron Ramsdale, by the way. And I really like him as a character and a person. But David Raya is very calm. And I know he was put in a situation, David Raya, at the start, which was uncomfortable for him as well. And I think that was shown in his early performances. But when you look at the last two games and you look at David Raya now to what he was like at the start of his time at Arsenal, it's a totally different goalkeeper. Like, that's like, I thought that save against Wolves, and I was right behind it. I was like, wow, like, absolute wow. Like, he's just pulled off a world. That's unbelievable save. But then you look at the one against Aston Villa and you're just like, like, he's got that calmness around him, isn't he? And I think, do you know what? I think that he's potentially the most calmest goalkeeper that we've had in front of our defence probably since Dave Seaman. Yeah,
and that can have a massive effect on your defenders that are immediately in front of you as well. If they know they've got a calm figure behind them, it's massive for them as well. And I just think he just fits into our system and our personnel just perfectly, to be honest. There's no baggage with him. You don't hear stories about David Raya. Ramsdale maybe needs to just sometimes get his head down a bit more and just concentrate on the football.
Yeah. So he moves to Southampton. He's not in England squad at the moment. I think we expect him to get back in England squad, though, don't we? Once he starts playing for Southampton and starts getting games under his belt.
Yeah, there's no reason why not. And as far as modern day goalkeepers go, he fits that. He fits the bill, doesn't he? He's good with his feet. I wasn't that sad to see him go. Not as sad as half the fan base at the moment are in a bit of a meltdown about the whole thing. It's a ruthless sport. Our club comes first, and I'll back whatever decision Arteta makes, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely, mate. And like, you couldn't afford to have them both there anyway. Now, going on from that, we've now signed Neto. What's your thoughts, Andy, on this one? Because it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, like, I understand the club have a structure where they probably have a list of players that they want. I think Juan Garcia was obviously the player that they did want, but they weren't willing to pay 30 million for him, which, to be fair, at this moment in time, I don't think we should be paying 30 million for a goalkeeper. No. But at the same sentence, we then go out and buy a goalkeeper who's obviously got experience around La Liga. he's been in the Champions League. He's played for Bournemouth. He was their captain. He's 35 years old. He's only for one season. Do you think it's a risk still, or not really? Do you think it's potentially a good deal just for like this season, and then we can review where we are at the back end of the season?
Yeah, do you know, in relation to his ability as a goalkeeper, I can't really comment because I don't know that much about him apart from the bits I've seen in the Premier League, where he's looked pretty decent, to be honest. The fact that Arteta's chosen to bring him in, I think, must say something about his personality. So he's going to add to the dressing room, and be that competition for Raya as well. So yeah, it's one that's come out of the left field. Nobody really saw coming, but I've got to reserve my judgment because I honestly don't know too much about him.
No, yeah, I think it's like most things, isn't it? When the goalkeeper plays for another club, you don't really look at that goalkeeper too much. Just going over to you, G, because I know you've got to shoot in 5 minutes. What are you quite happy with the goalkeeper situation? Would you want it to pay big money for a number 2 at this moment in time?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. At the end of the day, they're not going to get a chance to play very often, are they? And I think that's obvious by letting Ramsdale go. That his main priority and his main focus is on David Raya. So to spend basically more than what we're getting back from Ramsdale on someone to just be a second and just waste away on the bench for the rest of the season just didn't really sit right. Whereas he's Premier League proven. I watched the Bournemouth game. I can't remember who they played the other day, last Sunday, and he was pretty good, to be fair. He made some really good saves and kept them in it for as much as it was Newcastle they were playing. So yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Like, I think people need to realise sometimes these options are better for the short term, and then we go again next summer, or start communications again in January. But yeah, it's the club were obviously not going to lower their expectations, and on the day, the likelihood of him coming all the way over, doing all of that, it's not going to happen, is it? So we've got someone in, and we just move on from it. I think we're only going to maybe see him at the earliest date, maybe against Bolton. Oh no, he can't play, can he?
He can't.
No, it's
Yeah,
offside.
exactly. So we're not going to see. We're not literally going to see the bloke. So I don't think anyone needs to panic about it.
That's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? Like, I do think that personally, I'm not sure the club were prepared for this. I think they would have had a list, and he'd have been on that list, maybe the third choice.
Yeah.
But I think that they were pretty confident that they'll get one Garcia through the door.
I think they just left it too long, didn't they? Was it like last week or even before that his name was flying around and the negotiations had started, and now at the very last couple of days, then it gets more intense. And you're leaving yourself so open, aren't you? And the likelihood of them going, oh, do you know what? Yeah, because you waited this long, we'll just let you have him for 10 million less than we want to sell him for. Like, it's just not going to happen, is it? And like I said, like, realistically at this point, at least we have got someone through the door, and we're not going to rely on, hopefully, David Raya playing every single game and not getting injured. But yeah, it ties us over for now, and that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, I think the stumbling block, isn't it? We didn't want to hit that release clause. We wanted to get him on the cheap. It is a number 2. Let's remember, we shouldn't be paying 30 million for a goalie. George, what's your opinions on Neto coming in and the meltdown that's been happening today?
It's been quite laughable. To be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't think there's any risk with it at all. It's a dry loan. Like G said, he ain't going to be playing that much unless Raya gets injured. So his Premier League experience, I don't think he's actually a bad goalkeeper, potentially. Like say this time next summer, that's a year down the line more that Cole Hines has been playing week in, week out. So maybe they're thinking now that he might be good enough to be a number 2. But then we have got Tommy Sefford as well, who they bought from Ajax, who he might get a game against Bolton and he's learned it. Maybe Neto's going to be there as an experienced head that he can learn from.
Yeah.
I don't really get the meltdown, but like, just be have it right. People were moaning and bitching about us having a second choice goalkeeper that could cost us 20 to 30 million. So why are we going to go and spend it again? It just don't really like. You look at the other clubs. Scott Carson's one of the reserve goalkeepers for Man City. So, how old's he? He's got about 68, isn't he? Or something.
Yeah, I think I went to school with him.
Yeah. So I'm just not like I don't know. Like Neto, I think it'll be alright. Like fingers crossed, Raya don't get any injuries. So only really if we get like some games in the FA Cup, in Neto will play in that. And I know it was mentioned before that it's only Bournemouth, but he was captain of Bournemouth last week. So to leave, and I know he's been replaced by Kepa, but I think that's more just on the manager. Like, so he must have some like sort of motivation and captaincy stuff, and Arteta likes that, doesn't he? So he might. Plus, they probably need someone to walk the dog as well. Like Cedric can't do it now, can he? So.
I think, unfortunately, G, you're leaving us, are you?
Yeah, sorry about that. Got to head off, I'm afraid. But I shall be in the chat in a minute for the last section of the evening.
Thank you very much for popping on tonight.
No
Cheers,
worries
Jay.
at all. As always. See you later.
See you later.
Could I just say something about the Ramsdale thing? I didn't really get to talk about it. So
Yeah, you're good, man.
I think what some people forget with the price as well is if we sold him for over like around 19 million, we would have lost money because we would have had to have given some of that to Sheffield United, and I think that's why they were trying to around that 17-18 million mark. The sell-on fee doesn't come into play, so I think, like Andy was saying, realistically, that the only team I thought might have gone for someone like Ramsdale is West Ham, because he's a lot better than Areola and Fabianski. I think he went to school with my dad. Like that's all I did. So like, but I do wish him luck in the future. I just think some of our fan base get very attached, but I didn't know if people knew that's. I think that's why it was only 18 million, because I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he was the most valuable goalkeeper" or something like last year or whenever it was, and I don't think it helped Ramsdale when he come out and said that he loses concentration during the game, and that's why he has banter with the away fans. So maybe he'll probably learn from that. But there's no reason he can't be the England number one, because Jordan Pickford's not going to be there forever, is he?
No, he's not.
No, I think at his age, I think Ramsdale's got so much time on his hand that if he has got a couple of good seasons, I think he'll potentially get a move up again. I think he will, but I just think that
Chelsea could have they didn't have 12 goalkeepers.
Yeah, well, they probably had to get rid of another 11 before they could get him, didn't they? But I just think with Ramsdale, I think he's got so much time on his hands that it's a blow for him, because he probably would have wanted to stay at Arsenal. But at the end of the day, I think we've exceeded. Again, isn't it? It's the same situation that we've exceeded that position when he come in. So when he come in, we was a struggling team. Now we're competing for the title. We've got to make the next step up. You either sit there and play your same players and just end up being that team, or you better that position. And it's a bit like Zinchenko, isn't it? A left back that he's a decent left back. He can invert. Well, I wouldn't say he's. I'm not actually. I'm not. I wouldn't say he's decent, but he's good. He's a good positional player who can go into midfield and do a role. But he ain't gonna win you a Premier League.
No.
So his concentration, yet again, Zinchenko's like Ramsdale's in his position. He ain't gonna win you a Premier League. So then you upgrade again, don't you? And that's what we've done. We've upgraded that left position again. And I think, as I said before, I think Martinelli doesn't have a good season this year. That left wing position is going to be upgraded, because Trossard turns 30 next year. Martinelli, if he doesn't have a great season, I don't think Arteta persists again. I think that at the moment the player's not out there to bring in at left wing. I think if the player was out there to bring in at left wing, I think he brings him in. That's my personal opinion.
With the Nico Williams thing, because I know people have mentioned him. he's done really well, like in the Euros and for a year for Athletic Bilbao. How do you know that Arteta's not looking at watching him, seeing how he does this season? But if you remember when Arteta took over at the start, he said he shouldn't have to persuade people to join for Arsenal. Why do you want to go and sign someone if they automatically just want to go Barcelona?
Yeah.
So, I think some people don't really think of that. So that's like what you're saying, Liam. That left winger at the moment might not be available, but there's nothing to say they won't be next summer. So that's why I think it's make or break for Martinelli this season.
What's your thoughts on Andy Martinelli?
Liam, can I just stop you because I've just messaged you and Jonesy. I thought the show finished at 10:30. I've actually got a shoot.
Oh, sorry, mate. You go on, mate. You can jump off.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I've got a shoot. It's just overrun.
Yeah, that's right, mate.
I've got a dash. I'm really sorry.
That's all right, mate.
That's cool.
Answer your messages, man.
Yeah, sorry, mate. We're too busy trying to get hold of Sky Sports to see what's going on with transfers.
Yeah.
I've got Darmish from the other end.
I've gone cross-eyed trying to. I'm watching you and I'm watching the telly at the same time, so I've got to try and get my eyes back ready to go in the car.
That's why I'm glad I can't see.
I'll see you later, guys. Anyway.
Cheers,
guys.
Yeah, bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it, with Martinelli? Like, I think that like this back end of this season, I think if he doesn't go into this season and has the season that he needs, then potentially I think that at the moment there isn't that player out there. And I think striker is the same situation. I think if the striker's out there, we go and get them. I think if there's a left winger out there, we go and get him. And this is one of the points that I was trying to get at the other week. And I don't want to sound right, but you know what, Jonesy? I was bang on. Like, no, I was bang on. And I'll tell you why I was bang on, right? I'll tell you the whole reason why I was bang on. Because what I was trying to say the other week was, right, I naturally believe, right, to upgrade our team, we need a central striker and a left winger. I totally agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But we're not just going to go out and upgrade that position with anyone.
Yeah.
We're going to go up. We're going to go and upgrade that position with the right players. And if the right player's not available, I don't think Edu and Mikel Arteta are going to be forced to go and buy a player that will go and buy that, you know what, could upset the apple cart or could potentially not be the right fit of the team moving forwards.
Yeah, no,
with the right wing situation, we can't. What I was trying to get at the other week was that we can't afford to go a third season and push Saka all the way on his own.
No.
Which is why I thought that potentially we would go for that kind of player because I think it's a safety first option. Do you know what I mean? To get someone in because we know Reece Nelson's not going to get picked. But it will just basically balance out the squad. Now, what they've done is they have gone and got that player, but they've gone and got a player who can literally play all three positions, if not four. He can play a false 9, he can play a 10, he can play a 7, he can play 11. Now, do I think that's going to improve the first team? I think it improves the squad. And I think it improves the ability. If Saka's out, we've got someone reliable who'll go in there.
No, but like with the striker thing, obviously, I thought we was going to buy a striker. I hold my hands up. I thought that was going to happen. Obviously, we're not. But I just wonder if there's a reason why, and he's like the striker that he wants isn't available at the moment. And next summer's a big summer for a lot of clubs because their contracts are running out. And I don't know why, but Isak is just the one. Arteta's always liked Isak. I just wonder if Newcastle don't have a great season. Does Isak force that move? Does Isak make us better up front? Of course he does.
Is Bruno the same case? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Bruno was linked as well.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, so all depends with Newcastle how they do. So like, just say like, say Bruno or Isak. If Newcastle finish out of Europe, let's be honest, are they going to want to stay there? I wouldn't have thought so. So, apart from Isak, the only other one is Gyökeres. Like, we get to see him first down when they play us in the Champions League. But maybe Arteta's thinking, I'm not going to. I think in next summer, or Edu's thinking that price tag's going to obviously come down. I don't sit here thinking that Arteta's thought, I don't need a striker because I've got Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus. I don't believe that for 1 minute.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I do agree. Left wing and striker are the positions that we need to upgrade to make this team complete. But I just don't think the players are out there. When you start looking at right, you can't get Nico Williams at the moment. Who out there can you get left wing? It's quite hard, isn't it? It's quite hard. Like the striker situation, I want a striker more than like that. For me, the striker situation will be the position because I think it then evolves Kai Havertz's position moving forward. But yeah, again, that could be an Isak, if you've been on, sure.
Yeah. If you're looking at the left wing, like what you were saying about Nico Williams, if you just look at the players that we've been linked with, so it goes Nico Williams, and then we've been linked with Leroy Sané, Rafinha, even Attenborough from Brighton. That's a huge difference, really. Like the only one out of that list that changes, that elevates us, is Williams. So, like the other ones would do the squad, but obviously, if we've got, I'm assuming we're getting Sterling, he fits that bill. If we're looking for players to elevate us, you need to look at the players that are going to go in and take a bit like what City done with Haaland, really.
Haaland fell at the right time from, didn't he? Haaland fell at the right time.
Yeah, and the same could happen with us, really. Like,
are we sitting there saying the same thing as well? What happens if, I know I said about Kai Havertz, if he doesn't get injured, we haven't got a problem. What happens if Haaland gets injured?
Yes, I literally was just about to say that. And, Guardiola has come out today and said, he's not bringing anyone else in. He wants a small squad. It works better with that group of players. If he gets injured, who have they got as a striker?
Well, they haven't. And this is this is what I was saying to you, Jonesy. Like, you think that the young kid, Oscar Bobb's out injured for ages because he broke his leg.
Yeah.
If obviously they sold Alvarez, Jack Grealish. They're not blessed with options up front. Right, they've got Jeremy Dockett, but do you know what I mean? Like, everyone looks at us. All it takes is Man City to be unlucky for once and get 2 or 3 big injuries. Like, I know people in the chat might say, "Oh, but Haaland and De Bruyne were injured last season," but not at the same. Like, they weren't all for the same time, and they didn't have like 3 or 4 players out. Like, remember when we've had players out? We've had like near half a team out.
Yeah, I mean,
already, even now, obviously you've got Tomiyasu injured, Marino, that's Jesus. It builds up. So I don't know. I think it's a big risk for Man City because Haaland, he does suffer with injury problems, doesn't he?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, he gets away. But the thing is, the same. Us and City have been shrewd this transfer window. I know the comment there says, 4 good additions, but you got to think Timber's the 5th. We never had him for the whole of last season. And he's, I know that old saying, he's like a new signing because he's come back from injury, but he literally is.
Well, yeah, he is. We don't see him.
Yeah, I think Arsenal has just put us. Yes, Liam, do you want to break the news?
Big news breaking through.
It's done.
It is done. It is done. George does not have to worry anymore when he bad mouths Eddie Nketiah's to his auntie. Crystal Palace have signed Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal, I believe, for a deal of 25 million. That will be increased to 30 million potentially of clauses. That hasn't come up yet, but Eddie Nketiah has signed for Crystal Palace. Just going to get your views on that, Jonesy. What's your thoughts on Eddie leaving? I'll be interested. I would like to hear some good words from you as well.
You come to the wrong place. No, joking.
I know you missed his hat-trick, chaps. You know what I mean? Only one of us in here that see that.
But no, I'm just seeing it now. It's breaking on BBC News. Done deal, yeah. It's 30 million in the region of 30 million. I'm not gonna kiss his ass because I didn't when he played for us. I'm glad to see him go. He wasn't good enough. I'm not gonna disrespect him and say he's shit, but he just wasn't the sort of player we need up front. He'll do well for Palace. I know that he will do well because he's that sort of bagsman to get them goals. I do wish him all the best. As hopefully he don't score against us. And I'm not sitting there. But yeah, no, wish him all the best. But he just wasn't. He wasn't the striker. We've evolved from the likes of Eddie and Nketiahs and stuff like that. We've seen that now with Kai and Jesus. He wasn't offering us nothing when he comes on as a sub. But yeah, it's the best all round to get that deal over the line and get him gone. To be fair.
So yeah, Eddie has gone. We're going to go to George now. It looks like he's got a little Cheshire grin on his face.
Look at the smile.
There's a little cheesy one there, mate. Yeah, Eddie's gone, mate. What's your thoughts before I give my final thoughts on it?
I've always been a fan. Not joking. It's just echoing what Jonezy said. Like, he had his moments, but he weren't good enough, really. Like, he was never good. Like you say about Zinchenko, he was never going to win us a Premier League. I think he'll do probably quite well at Palace. Probably score quite a few goals. I don't know what else to say, to be honest. Like,
More breaking news. Will Zaha has left Galatasaray for Lyon.
I really thought he was going to say us then. I thought,
No, not yet. But we have got a picture of Big Ben at the moment. It is 22:48. We've got 12 minutes remaining. I've gone through a little bit of Disaronno as well tonight, by the way, chaps. So tomorrow morning is going to be an interesting one. We're getting up at 7 o'clock for match day. But
just to say though, I'm fair play to the club for sticking by their guns and getting the 30 million that they wanted. You know,
when they was ripped to shreds in the media and online saying, "Oh, why did they reject it off the market?" Like, and this has always been my argument this window. So some of the fans say, "Oh, we shouldn't just give our players away." People mug us off, and then when we stick to a certain price, they're like, "Oh, well, they should have just got rid." So what do you want? Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, and if you don't actually total it up through Balogun, Eddie, Smith Rowe, Ramsdale, players like that, it's nearly on 100 million.
So, sorry, George, to cut you off. I'm just reading here as well from BBC. The deal for Sancho obligation will be 20 million to 25 million. But Chelsea have also put a deal sheet in which can extend their time, so that might tie up or delay the Sterling one as well.
That's mad. 20 to 25 million.
Yeah, for Sancho, that's the obligation.
Yeah. Do you know who we?
That's no brainer.
That's a steal, isn't it?
You know who we still have got at the club, Liam? Oh, Kieran Tierney.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, there's an interesting one, isn't there? Kieran Tierney, obviously, does he fulfil a squad place? I can't see it with the amount of left backs we've got in the club. But would you potentially play him in the Carabao Cup games or not? I don't think you do you? Because when you start looking at people like Zinchenko, Cavafori, Timber, Kieran Tierney is potentially still at the club, but I can't see him grabbing any minutes. Can you?
No. Probably took Cedric's role, wouldn't he? Really?
Can you hear us, Ryan?
He keeps coming. He's having major
again.
issues.
As soon as I come on it, as soon as I hit backstage, I'm having issues. Like, I don't know if you can hear me clearly, but literally, it's like stop, start. And it's really doing my head in. I've done updates and everything. It's doing my head in now.
Just talk.
Or not.
We're going to try and get some comments from Ryan if we can. So I've just texted a message in the background. Just hopefully you can pick something up there. I've just asked him to talk, and that's it.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ryan. Can you hear us?
I am talking. I don't know. It must be mine. I don't know what it is. I've done everything I can tonight. It's really ag because this has been planned, obviously, all week. And yeah, it's like the goalkeeping gods do not want me to come on and slag off Neto. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't know if you saw earlier, but David Seaman signed fame shirt fell off the wall before I went live. It's literally, it's like, as I say, it's like the gods are not letting me come in and slag him off and slag off the club for buying a 35-year-old goalkeeper who, by the way, is cup tied. Woohoo! But hey, it's a bargain, guys. Yeah. Because now we've got to play a killing goal the cups. That's smart. But no. Let's not spend a release clause on a goalkeeper for the future. No. That makes too much sense. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, we did it for Ramsdale, £32 million, extra £2 million back in the day. But no. Can't do it for a Spanish goalkeeper. No. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Let's spend pay an entire wage. This will make it worse. We're bringing in a goalkeeper on loan that's 35 over it, and we're paying all his wages. And now we're doing lastminute.com with Raheem Sterling. Woohoo! You literally could not make this up. Sterling, literally, I'll say this: Sterling is saving Arsenal's arse today. If we bailed out on Sterling, I'd be absolutely fuming right now with the club. Because for me, that aside, it's been a very disappointing window. It would have been a very disappointing window in the terms of, yes, we're going to get Ricardo, yes, we're going to get Mikel, but now Mikel's fucking injured. Pardon my French. And then we're going by a 35-year-old goalkeeper that's not going to play until, at the very least, January in the FA Cup, depending on who we get in the FA Cup. We're paying a wage for someone that might not even play, basically. Because if we get a big team in the FA Cup, home or away, there's no way Arteta's playing him ahead of Raya in a big game in the FA Cup. There's no way. So effectively paying a massive wage, effectively, for someone who doesn't even play it, put the shirt on, basically, because he's cup tied in the League Cup as well, so you can't play him against Bolton. We don't play Raya against Bolton now. We've got to play a kid at 16 who's just arrived from Ajax. Yeah.
But Ryan, surely it's better than paying Ramsdale's wages. He was on probably significantly more than that. Surely that's a win there. Oh, he can't hear you, mate. He can't hear. He can't hear you. Just to let you all know, Ryan's not happy with the Neto signing. If you didn't know, pretty much dismayed by it. Unfortunately, we can't ask him the questions because he can't hear us, which is a bit of a shame. We've got a little bit of a footage of his face here, like he's smiling. Can you hear us?
You probably can, the whole thing, but just to clarify.
Can you hear us? Pissed off tonight.
Sefford's 18 anyway, he's not 16.
It's buffering my end, and it's buffering because as soon as you go to talk, it starts buffering, and it's really pissing me off.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Pardon my French.
Just to let you guys know, apparently Fulham are now on the front running bid for Nelson at this rate.
They're ground sharing with us soon.
I know what we can do, guys, and hopefully Ryan can see this. So we'll do this. What is your thoughts? Yeah, that's what we can do. We can do some writing, can't we? And hopefully you can see it this way.
It's like when you're chatting it's like when you're doing that chat GPT.
And hopefully you can see it.
He's watching on his phone now.
Yeah.
So I've just checked on YouTube as well to make sure it's not the internet completely. It's fine on my phone. The feed is.
Oh, I've got him a question. He's gone. Would you ever believe it? Would you ever believe it? Just by the way, guys, we've got 3 minutes 56 seconds left of this transfer window. Obviously, it is very close now. We're now waiting for news. Raheem Sterling is at the training ground. Raheem Sterling is going under a medical, and they are doing the club are doing all the documents as we speak. I'm sure it's not as dramatic as they try and make out it is, but that is what the current situation is. Eddie Nketiah signs at Crystal Palace for a 5-year deal. So that would take him up till how old's Eddie now? 24? 25. So that's a good deal he's got there. So he'll get that till he's 30 years old. But Eddie has signed for Crystal Palace.
He said in an interview, it's good to be back home to sign for Palace. I'm excited to get going.
What, is he from Palace?
I don't know. She said every time.
Lewisham, isn't he? He's from Lewisham. Yeah, South London. Just kind of looking at obviously Crystal Palace will not sell Mark Guire. We knew that. We kind of reported that.
Did you see the West Ham loan deal for the PSG midfielder. That was a weird one.
Carlos Schlar.
Yeah. That kind of come out of. He's a decent player as well. That was a bit weird.
Oh yeah, Solar. Sorry, yeah, I saw that. Just looking as
I suppose he's replacing Ward-Prowse, I assume.
Nottingham Forest have signed Morato from Benfica, Brazilian defender.
Yeah.
Who do you think, Jones, is a real winner in his transfer window? Because he's an interesting one. We're talking about Arsenal, haven't really brought no one, but has anyone really gone out there and brought a substantial amount of players? I know we were talking about Chelsea, but can we really say they're winners at the moment?
I don't know. With the business Liverpool's done, you could say United have brought kind of smart, but then you don't want to give United credit for anything. It's been a strange transfer window. What with the Euros, you thought business would get done straight after, but literally it's only started heating up this last week and a half, isn't it? With every club, to be fair. I can't see Liverpool just signed Chiesa. That's it. It's been a quiet one. I just think clubs are worried now. What with the old transfer and the financial fair play, Chelsea, I saw that as well about their stocking up because of a transfer ban incoming.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's been a strange transfer window. I think clubs have missed out on targets, big targets as well.
And why do we think this is? Do we think there's a lot of cat and mouse in terms of transfer window now? Clubs don't need to sell players, and when they do, they want massive money, but the money's not there. Are we talking about FFP, especially what's going on with Man City, everyone else looking over their shoulders?
I think it is. I think, Everton, the likes of Forest, all these clubs that have been getting transfer bans now, not transfer bans, sorry, points deducted. I think it's starting to worry teams. It is strange. And then you've got the likes, clubs, and then you've got to wait for, it's like Arsenal. We've waited for, Chelsea to get Sancho before we could possibly get Sterling. I think there's all different dominoes that have to fall in effect for clubs to sign players nowadays. It ain't just, I want you, I'm getting you. You have to think that club needs to replace them, or they need to find funds to find someone to replace them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dominoes to fall to get deals done nowadays.
As we're talking now, we're in the final 20 seconds of the transfer window. Big Ben is about to chime. 11 o'clock is about to come here. And I reckon Eddie's auntie's on his way to George's house at the moment to give him a mouthful.
She might catch the last train.
But here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The transfer window is now closed, so we'll stay around just to wait to get the Sterling confirmation. But the transfer window is now closed, and I just want to kind of go over to both.
What happened with Osimhen and Tony?
Well, the Saudi Arabia League, their transfer window don't shut tonight, does it? So they're pretty much safe in terms of that. But yeah, Osimhen, obviously Chelsea early on in the day were linked to trying to get him. That didn't materialise. Tony apparently is completed his medical in London at present, but nothing's been confirmed. So we'll kind of wait and see over the weekend what's going on with them two deals.
So I'm reading here that we've submitted a deal sheet that gives us an extra 2 hours. But
I ain't waiting 2 hours for it.
No. So we're just waiting on some deals here to point out Sancho, Sterling, Ward-Prowse, Edouard as well, and Lascelles. So all the deals on the deal sheet apparently that need to go through.
Can you hear us, Ryan? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good man. So
I'm about to use my phone.
Brilliant, good man. So obviously, first things first. Obviously, we've got your Neto kind of dialogue in terms of kind of Aaron Ramsdale, mate. Obviously, I know you was a keen supporter of him. Do you feel Southampton was the move that? Are you kind of surprised that he went back to a kind of a club that potentially is in a relegation battle again? Did you think someone better might have gone in for him?
I was thought Newcastle not going for him because obviously Pope. I know they've got Pope at the moment. He's 31, 32, whatever it is, but he's just come back from a big injury. I thought Newcastle would have gone in for him just for the security, just in case Pope had a setback as well, and again competition as well, providing because Ramsdale hasn't had the longevity of an injury and nothing like that. He's got the hunger to prove a point now. I thought they definitely would have. Chelsea, I don't think we'd have sold to Chelsea. I know there's links, but I don't think we would have been naive enough to strengthen. It would have been strengthening Chelsea with their 17 other goalkeepers that are crap. I mean, I think as far as he's concerned, he's just getting out of a situation he doesn't want to be in. He wants to be playing first team football. Yeah, it's a step backwards, but as far as he's concerned, he's got between now and January to prove himself as to be the undisputed number one at Southampton there before the Irish lad comes back from his injury. Yeah. Aside from that, I think you probably would have preferred to go somewhere else, but it's who's after him and who needs him, basically. He knows that going to Southampton with their situation of goalkeepers, that right now, he's guaranteed a chance to be number one and make it and solidify it properly. Whereas, the clubs that we thought would go in from, like Newcastle, never came for whatever reason. And Newcastle can blame this PSR up the wall. All they've spent, this ownership has spent, is £50 million on a gambler like Tony, and that's it really. I mean, they're complaining, and obviously they try to spend some money on Gaia from Palace, but that's it. This is the richest club in the world, and they're using the excuse of rules that everyone else is abiding by, but also everyone else is spending. There's meant to be the whole new cycle, a new start of a new 3-year cycle. So I don't like the excuse they're throwing out. But look, end of the day, for Ramsdale, he's done what he needed to. He wants to play. He wants to play. He doesn't want to be a number two. I don't blame him to want to leave anyway, considering he was the number one. And as far as he's concerned, taking out his dad's appearances on other Arsenal podcasts last season, he feels that he was hard done by. And I don't think but whatever the club say, and I set to say, he doesn't feel appreciated. I don't think the way he was dealt with, he doesn't feel like he was appreciated, and basically he wanted to get out of there. And as soon as the club mounted a serious interest, it was like, okay, let's get it done. He took a pay cut. Let's not forget, he's gone to Southampton. He's taking the pay cut in wages. He's taking a huge risk because Southampton are heavy favourites to go back down. He's taking a huge risk, signing a 4-year contract, and he could be playing Championship football next year. Let's be brutally honest, but I'm gutted for him because obviously I think he deserves better. He's a good goalkeeper. Let's not get into it. He's a good goalkeeper. He proved for the 2 years as number one. He proved that before obviously Ray came along, but it's not critical. It's done now. We have to move on. Really, let's be honest. It's no if buts or maybes or what could have been. Now it's done.
I don't know how breaking this is, but obviously Mr. Tom's put Nelson's move is off. Jonesy, I know you've been nodding your head. Have you heard something?
Yeah, the deal with Fulham's been done. They're just signing the paperwork now. So Reece Nelson off to Fulham, it looks like.
So it is on.
Yeah, with Fulham, the one for Ipswich collapsed last minute.
So when you start looking at that, Ryan, Alex Iwobi, Emil Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson now. Proper Arsenal, proper How End there at Fulham, isn't it?
Yeah, the How End attack at Fulham. Who would have thought? Good luck. Good luck to him. Again, hopefully he gets more minutes he would have done at Arsenal, I think, at Fulham. And like for me, like Smith Rowe, I think he walks into this team and basically stands out as one of their best players on his day. He just needs to run the games down to get his confidence up and put his money where his mouth is. Thankfully, whilst doing that, he doesn't, because it's a loan. He won't be playing against us. Only Smith Rowe will. So there's positives, but yeah, good. Again, that's an Arsenal trio that they've got there now with Iwobi and ESR and Reece, and they'll get nothing against Reece whatsoever. I mean, isn't again one of our academy lads. Would have liked it to work out, but obviously it didn't. Timing and all that, but it is what it is. He's staying in London as well. I think once Fulham came in and showed interest, I think he, given the choice of staying in London or going to, full due respect to their fan, Ipswich, he was going to choose to stay in London. Let's be honest. That's not a dig. That's just saying Fulham are a more established Premier League side. there's less risk in terms of a relegation scrap, and he doesn't have to move to another part of the country for 9 months just to come back to London if it doesn't work out. Whereas he's in London with Fulham, it's not that much of a setback, basically.
No.
Worst case scenario.
What's your kind of thoughts, George, on the Reece Nelson deal?
It'd be nice for him to get some game time. I feel like he would have got more more regular first team starts at Ipswich. Ipswich ain't that far, you know what I mean? You can get the train from London. It's not like so.
He's used to London life.
Well, yeah, obviously geographically, yeah, but I don't know. That's hopefully if he has a good thing, we might. You never know. They might want to buy him on a permanent. I don't know if it's a straight loan. It's like another thing. I don't think Nelson's been given enough opportunity. So when he does play for Arsenal, you don't see the best of him. Obviously, that Bournemouth game and a couple other moments, but yeah, maybe it'd do him some good. Just seems I don't know. I'm a bit surprised they actually let Nelson go because I know bringing Sterling in. I just thought they might have just kept him to play in the cups, but.
Yeah, just going to go back over to you, Ryan. Obviously on Raheem Sterling. I know we had a bit of a conversation about it. Where do you think he can play in terms of the positional? Because I was just speaking to my mate, or just via text. He's a Man United fan, and he seems to think that potentially we could look at him out on the left as well. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to try to say that earlier when I was cutting in and out and all that earlier on the computer, but yeah, he's again. It's like we say this all the time about Arteta and versatility players. He loves his versatile players, and Raheem, he knows him best because obviously Man City. I've seen a clip from their Man City documentary when they did their War or Nothing, and him and Pep are back and forth, this, that, and the other. It's about a Burnley previous game when they were playing Burnley. He had a miss a sitter, and Pep's having a word with him and all that. What do you think you've done wrong in that moment? He's like, I didn't listen to Mikel. Mikel told me to do this. I did the complete opposite. Hence why he went 20 yards over the bar. And he said he's a learner. He listens. He's just got. He at that time he just had to take it in, and had that hunger to improve. And he wants to improve, and he does improve. It's no coincidence that Arteta in that season, Sterling was one of the best performing mid wingers in not just in England but in Europe on the European standings. Only Messi was statistically ahead of him, and that's Messi. Messi's Messi. But yeah, to back to his versatility, he can play left, he can play right, he can play wherever you put him. Really, in terms of we see against Arsenal, we was at City and all that. I think he'll be when we have a fully fit squad. From that point of view, he'll be more back up to Saka, but also if Martinelli continues not to pick up his form, he'll be told, right, Gabby, Bent, Raheem, you're starting, and until further notice, until one of his Martinelli gets his head at his backside, this is how it's going to be basically. But it's competition, and it's not bad competition not to have really in terms of Raheem, because he's a born Londoner. He doesn't have to. He's been playing in London for the last couple of years as well. He doesn't have to get used to the London life. Doesn't have to move his family from where they are currently. Can stay where they are. So there's none of that messing about either. And he knows Mikel. He knows the manager, and he knows how Mikel operates, even though it was as an assistant previous. But he knows his philosophy and how he conducts himself with his players. So it's not even that he's got to get used to Mikel Arteta's way of thinking and mindset and tactics, because he already knows it all. So again, it's a good bit of business, and I think the major thing with Raheem here that we're not touching on, this is a player that's just been humiliated for the last couple of weeks by Chelsea and the new Chelsea manager publicly. He is going to be the most motivated player in our squad when it comes to Arsenal v Chelsea, both home and away. Because he will want to play both of them games. Start, I don't mean start, because he will have a point to prove now to that manager. The manager who told him before kick-off yesterday, in terms of publicly to the world, I've told him he needs to go. If he stays put, he's getting no minutes. Like you need experience. You're isolating the experience like you wouldn't believe.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. Oh yeah. So yeah, we've got a player now who's with everything I've said prior, who's going to be absolutely motivated to prove a point now this season. And what better way to prove a point than come to a club that's trying to get over the line and help get him over the line potentially?
No, it's interesting, isn't it? I obviously want to say good evening, Zayis. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Transfer window's finally closed, so kind of happy about it now that it's closed and we know where we are. What's your thoughts on the Raheem Sterling deal?
He's a 4-time Premier League winner. He's got experience. He's worked with Arteta. It is a no-brainer. It really is. And it's a loan deal where the rumour is Chelsea are paying 75% of his wages. Why are people annoyed about this? Why? I mean, listen, I was just on a stream where we were saying a couple of years ago, we would have only but dreamed of a player like this. We had Rob Holding.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be totally honest.
We had a Wobie.
I mean, right. I was just saying this as well. Like, there's 4 of us that go to the Arsenal regularly. I've got a season ticket. My mum and dad share one. My brother's now got one. My brother is the most emotionally unreliable Arsenal fan. He's neurotic, basically. Right? He will go from 0 to 180 in like nothing. Everything's a disaster. He has literally just texted me, "This is amazing." So for him to be not all doom and gloom and the world is going to end in the morning, I'm feeling positive because trust me, my mum nicknames us Mark and Paul from Fever Pitch because he will literally be like, "The world is over," and I'll be like, "What, do you want to score the second one before you score the first?" Like that's me at a game. So God, I've sort of come on here, kicked the doors down, haven't I? Sorry, gents. Hello. Right.
We probably needed it, to be fair.
So we've got an update from Fabrizio. He's got the "Here we go" tweet about Raheem. It's happening.
Good
Raheem's
stuff.
turning to Arsenal. Here we go. Agreement done on loan. Move from Chelsea.
I've already I've beaten him. I've already got the photo of him in the kit.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah.
I actually next to my husband, I went, "Can you bring your bottle of Links of Africa out of the bathroom?" He's like, "What are you doing?"
That's actually the highlight of my night, that is. Do you know that?
He's sitting there on my desk, and I keep doing this, like on these streams, like that, and then go like this. So,
I totally agree with you. I think like it's a fantastic deal, like the experience in terms of where he's been at, and like, do you know, it's a bit like Havertz, isn't it? Like he got, I said it earlier on in the show. I know it was just Jonezy on it, but I watched the Chelsea Leicester FA Cup game, and them fans, which I ain't got no time for anyway, Chelsea fans absolutely abused Sterling and booed him and everything, and he's going to want to prove a point here. And he's got such a good setup around him, a manager that knows him inside out. Like you said, it's an absolute no-brainer. And he can play in 4 positions. He can play in your 7, he can play in your 11, he can play in your 9, he can play in your 10.
I've got a stat for you, right, which I think is amazing. Statistically, Raheem Sterling plays 64 minutes of every match he plays, right? Martinelli can also play on the left. Who do they sub in and out about the 65th to 70th minute? Trossard. You can play a triangle up the front and it's going to work beautifully. The stats don't lie. Like, honestly, right? Think about it. You can rotate them in and out. It's perfect. Why is this a problem?
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Like, when you start looking at it, like in terms of the interchanging positions as well. Like you've got Sterling who can play on the right hand side. He can play on the left hand side. He can even go up top. He could even go off Havertz if needed. Like there's so much versatility that you can do with Raheem Sterling. Like most wingers you get in there, you standard left winger or right winger. This guy can play a number of positions.
Yeah, and I think, and look, at the end of the day, he's another player from Chelsea that hasn't fitted into their formation. The bottom line is they seem to think they can just spend the money and everything's going to stick. It doesn't work, right?
No.
It really doesn't work. Look at Havertz. They were all mugging us off saying, oh, you've wasted 60 million. And now look what we sing back at him, because he's thriving in a team that is actually nurturing his ability. And I reckon that's what's going to happen with Sterling. And it wouldn't surprise me. Look, they want to get rid of him. He was, I think, going to be a free agent at the end of the year. They were willing to cut his contract.
Yeah.
He's coming to us long. If he does what we want him to do, he's going to be an Arsenal player for the foreseeable. And there's also only 4 days between him and Trossard. Only 4 days.
Who's older?
Trossard's born on the 8th, and I think Sterling's born on the 4th of December.
Oh, well, there you go. He's younger. He's younger.
Thing is, it says in here that Go on, mate.
Go on, mate.
And I was just reading on here, you know, he only wanted us. Arteta was key as well. He's at the training ground late, apparently, is what I'm reading. Arteta stayed to make sure Sterling comes. So it's all on Arteta, I think, this one, getting over the line.
Well, it's like I said earlier, he knew, because obviously he went to the Man City days when Arteta was at, he knows, he was working with him one-on-one, training. He knows how to get the best out of Sterling. Obviously, Sterling's a bit older nowadays, but to get that 29, as it mentioned, 4-time league FA Cup league winner, League Cups, he's multiple League Cups, the couple of FA Cups he won as well, England international. You can't put a price on that. And we've got him on a loans deal potentially, and we could get him for free if they cancel his contract next year. We'll be first. Of course, we've gone out our way. We'll be first on his radar basically if things work out.
I read online today about there was some muck up with his deal with Chelsea, and they actually owe him money. And part of this, an agreement to pay his wages, is because they owe him like millions.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
So, do you know what? I've been at work. I'm those that don't know, I'm a history teacher. I've been at work today and yesterday on like training before the school starts, and every now and then I'll go. And my colleague, we're really good friends. She doesn't care about football at all, right? She has no concept about it. And I'll go, oh, for God's sake. And she'll go, what? I went, Ramsdale's left. She's like, who? Right. And I went, and I have to then explain to her. And then when the Sterling stuff come in today, she went, is this football again? I went, yes, I'm sorry. But I've literally I can probably tell you more of what's been going on in the transfer window today than the training sessions I was meant to have been listening at. So we won't go there.
Well, also, I also want to say this as well in terms of Sterling being motivated. He have been obviously him and others that are isolated and told to train with the kids, and they've got no future whatsoever. And the 21 players that he's put forward already, he's been working with. That's all he wants. They've just signed tonight Jadon Sancho on a loan with an obligation to buy. What again? Even more motivation for Sterling and anyone else that's been outed by Chelsea. What I find bizarre as well, when obviously Enzo decided, no, you're not my cup of tea, thank you, during the end of pre-season, they still used his face to promote Man City Chelsea. Even after the game, they're using his face. No, you're not worthy enough to play, but we'll use an image, Raheem, just to get the fans in and all that. And, yeah, okay. Because it's your ex-club that we bought you from.
It's very sad seeing Eddie Nketiah on there in his Crystal Palace top, and and I do wish them all the best. But the really sad reality is they just weren't going to fit in what we're trying to do. And
we progressed. As a club, we progressed beyond them now, and it was just like you could tell that the last season was the contributing factor of seeing it proper in terms of. They did a job for us at one point, but we as a club have moved and our squad has moved on now. from what they can offer, and they haven't kept up. So good. We made we made profit on him, pure profit. So that goes back into the transfer kitty going forward. Good luck to him. He's in London as well. But Eddie the Eagle. That's all I'm saying. If Palace don't use that in their
Oh
promo,
my God, yeah, that's a really good point. Now, I just look. The thing is, you got some Arsenal fans going, "Well, look at Emil. He went and scored straight away." Yeah, because he's playing for Fulham. Like
yes, exactly.
this is the thing, and I don't doubt Eddie's going to be amazing there. And you know, going to Palace. Palace needs someone like him. And I don't think for 1 minute, what I really respect about those players is in the days when you can go to these Saudi leagues and you can go to this and you can earn this sort of money, they just want to play. And I don't think that Emil Smith-Rowe looked particularly happy his first game at Fulham. I think he was missing us and he wished it had been different. But he also knows he's got a job to do and he doesn't want to sit on the bench. And you have to give him respect for that because he's not going to be top flight at Arsenal, but he will be top flight at Fulham. And there's no shame in that.
No.
No.
No, it ain't. I think he's at a perfect club now, Eddie Nketiah, to move forwards. I think he's had some quality moments for us, hasn't he? Like he got the hat-trick last year. The Man United game's obviously the pinnacle for him when he scored that 90th minute winner because he got 2 that day, didn't he? I remember that day. It was a great day. It's Jonezy, funnily enough. But like you said, we've outgrown these players, and it's not that it become uncomfortable, but you just couldn't afford to bring these players on whatsoever in games. Like when he got to the back end of the season and like you're 1-0 away at Man United, that was the pinnacle game for me. That, do you know what? We've changed as a team. We know how to sit on a 1-0 at Man United now, and we'll sit there and we'll just say, do you know, we don't need to attack you. We'll just sit there and defend this win, and like you ain't going to get past us. And people like Nelson and Eddie Nketiah, even Fabio Vieira, to be fair to him, there's probably even 1 or 2 more if I'm being frankly honest, but we're just evolving every season. And I know we haven't got the striker that probably everyone craves for at the moment, but I think once we get that striker, I just think like it's painful that we haven't got the striker yet, but I get it that we need to get the right player. Do you know what I mean? There's no point going out there and just going and spend 50, 60 million on a striker for the sake of it.
Right.
It ain't ideal. It ain't ideal. It is.
One of my kids at school said something to me the end of last season. End of last term. See, now I am talking like all out of fever pitch. Everything's done in seasons. This kid went to me, Miss, have you heard of Trump derangement syndrome? I was like, where the hell am I going with this in my class, right? And I went, yes, I know what Trump derangement syndrome is. Anyone that's got a thing that they hate Trump for no reason. Yes, I know. And I'm like, I want to get off this subject really quickly. And then he went, Arsenal's got striker derangement syndrome. This boy's an Arsenal fan, by the way. And I went, what do you mean? He went, because they're constantly looking for this perfect striker. But the reason they'll never get another Thierry Henry is another Thierry Henry doesn't exist because he was a one-off. And I think this kid's 14, so props to him. Like, I'm not being funny, coming out with that at 14. But I think there's a truth. I think we're looking for perfection where I'm not sure perfection exists. So I think we actually have to find these players that gel with the other players around them to create those opportunities rather than looking for that one player with the hunger. Because I think you're better off to have a whole team with the hunger, and they need to, they can be selfish. There's no problem in that. When they've got the ball, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. But I do think that we've seen some amazing players over Arsenal over the time, but sometimes I don't think you're going to replicate the Bergkamps and the Henrys of this world.
No, I was saying earlier on, I think Havertz is he ain't going to get you 30 goals, but what he gives you, you're not going to get from many other players in the whole world. Like I said earlier on the show as well, I realised in the 5 minutes they moved him from up front to that number 8 role against Wolves. You're like, oh mate, we're missing Havertz up front in that 5 minutes because he does so much up there. And do you know what? Like, he got 14 goals last year and he didn't play up front. He only played up front since February. So if you got 14 goals last year, if you said to me he gets 20 goals this year, and then you got Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard and Sterling and Trossard scoring all goal, chipping 10, 15 goals between them, then you're laughing, aren't you? You are laughing at the end of the day. But like you said, there isn't that striker out there. Like, to go and get a decent striker is going to cost you about 120 million at the minimum. Like Isak, he's probably the one I look at. How much is Isak going to cost you?
100, 110.
Give or take.
I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to fit in with the players you've got in the squad.
No.
That's the risk that you take. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking over here. I'm not being rude. I've got Sky News on my iPad here, like that. I'm sure you guys are probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, I just want to. Are we staying on until we know for sure? Then.
Well, I'm going to give it another 10, 15 minutes, and then that's me done.
It's got to be done by midnight, hasn't it? Or it's not going to happen. My understanding is
2 hours. I thought they could extension.
Oh, till 1. Oh, I can't bloody stay up till. I've got the game tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Likewise.
Is everybody here going?
I'm on hosting duties on my channel, so I can't go. So it is what it is.
Can I
8:35 train.
Can I ask if you guys don't mind sharing where you sit?
Yeah, block 8.
Yeah. Oh, you're block 8 as well.
Yeah,
I'm everywhere where I can get a ticket.
Where you get a ticket?
Tomorrow I'm in North Bank Upper.
I am North Bank. I am block 103. So that's where I am.
You're upstairs in the North Bank.
I am. I'm just above the goal.
Yeah, round about the middle. Yeah, behind it. Yeah.
Middle. Yeah.
There's a lot. I've met a lot of Arsenal season ticket holders on these streams who are in the North Bank. A lot. So I don't know if that's where the majority of the season ticket holders are, or they're spread out, or I don't know. If you guys can.
I think pretty much North Bank is pretty much most of it is season ticket holders, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much.
I think it is.
Whenever I get a ticket from a season ticket holder, it's the North Bank. It's like never anywhere else, to be fair.
Well, the thing is, you'll probably find that you'll end up, if you go on the ticket exchange, there's quite a lot that circulate around because they've brought that new rule in that they brought in last season, where if you don't go to so much percentage of the games, you run the risk of losing it. So in the old days, people are like, oh, stuff it, I just won't go. But now they're like, no, I have to put my ticket on the ticket exchange, or I have to make sure a family member's going or whatever. So I think it's a good thing because it does mean that people who don't have season tickets have got more chance of getting them.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than when they go, oh, the attendance is 60-odd thousand. You go, no, it's not. There's like 3 seats around me that are empty.
That's true.
Where are you getting that from?
It's frustrating as well when you see that as like, if I can't get a ticket and you see it on the box, it's just like, fucking hell, I'd give an arm or a leg to be in there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what was it? Yeah, you can't get a ticket, and especially this ballot system now. And then you're at home and you go on Twitter and people are taking photos of like 2 or 3 rows of empty seats.
It's not right. It's not right. And the thing is, I remember the days when all I could get was Carling Cup tickets. And you'd go and you might have one first team player and everyone else you've never heard of in your life. So I never take mine for granted because of that reason. I've had mine for about 15 years. My mum and dad, as part of my 16th birthday present, put me on the season ticket waiting list. That was part of my, and I got it when I was 25. So I was on the waiting list for 10 years. Wow. 9 years. Yeah.
Got no chance now. I think I'm like 19,000 in the queue. So not far to go.
You just need a debacle, basically, of another back end of Wenger's time era, basically.
I hope you're not wishing bad things on them 19,000 people.
Of course not.
I wish you very bad things on them. Sorry.
Well, back in the day, my brother went to every single game of the 49, the Invincible season. On junior gunner tickets that my mum just walked up to the box office and got.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? That's mental. That's absolutely mental.
Fast forward 21 years, it's fucking like gold dust now.
No.
How times have changed, eh? How times have changed.
And I hate it's all on your phone now, isn't it? On the wallet. The other day I was in Tesco's and I'm trying to pay and the woman's going, that's not going to work. And I looked down trying to pay for my Tesco shopping with my season ticket. And I'm going, oh, yeah, that's not going to work. And then my husband went, you just done that to flash off that you're a season ticket holder. What, to the woman in Tesco's that don't care? Like, I don't think so.
She's sitting at home right now watching a stream saying, that's who's put the
in
my face.
in my face. Yeah. But I don't like. There was this little old man. It was the first season when they brought them in, and he was like hitting his phone against the thing. We go, no, that's not how you pay. Like, let's help you.
Just like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it wasn't. Oh, bless his heart, it wasn't working. But yeah, I've got. There's my phone case actually. There you are. So, but thank you for having me on. I've done nothing but shout since I've been on, so I apologise.
No, we needed waking up, to be fair.
I'm just reading here. There's 9 deals still left to go through. Late deals.
Yeah,
and Sterling, one of them, yeah.
Ivan Toney's confirmed as well, by the way. He's been confirmed as gone to Saudi Arabia, wherever he is.
See ya.
Club is. He's
Ward
gone.
Prowse has gone Nottingham Forest.
I still think that's a dodgy thing.
That's a weird one.
But he's had problems with gambling, and you're going to Saudi where you can go to prison for gambling.
Make it make sense.
That's one extreme rehab. That's all I'm going to say. Pays a lot of money, but ends up in prison.
If I gamble, I might die. If I gamble again, I might die. Literally.
I just find the whole thing with him going there weird deal, that is.
Quite young to be. I mean, Mo Salah, you can understand if he does it.
Yeah.
Because of the obviously cultural.
But this is like, he's basically going there to retire at a really young age.
Yeah.
I think everyone's clocked onto the attitude thing, and sort of, I think, as someone mentioned before, I think it was in this show, the previous show tonight, that Arteta had a meeting with Tony back in January, or to say December, to start discussions up and all that, and Arteta was put off straight away because he's what we see in the clips and all that circulate online, go viral, is how he is, and Arteta doesn't want that. And if he wanted that, he would have kept Aubameyang all the 2-3 years ago, whenever it was. And you don't all that work he would have done since Aubameyang would have been gone out the window. And again, I know Ivor can score the goals. He's got it's a cockiness and this, that, and the other. But there's cockiness, and there's literally going on holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
And snagging off your club that's paying your wages at every opportunity. I think other clubs are just the clubs that would have been interested a year ago, along with the gambling thing. I thought. I think the biggest nail in the coffin for him to stay in the Premier League and get a big move in the Premier League was when the day before his return, at the match day weekend wise, when he did an interview on Sky and he basically said, "Come get me, I don't want to be here." And I think that put a lot of people off, and I think obviously the only ones that are interested was seriously in the end was Saudi Arabian club that bought him. That's on him, and obviously, but at the end of the day, he ain't gonna complain, is he? He ain't gonna cry now. He's set up for life. No matter how long he's there now, he could be there for 6 months. He's guaranteed that tax-free all that money.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is what it is. And the weirdest one for me is obviously Ward Prowse. Like West Ham bought him a year ago. Was it 40 million quid? And it's like, no, we're not wanted now. Go away. New squad number, by the way. Gave him a new squad number this season and told him, no, you go away now. Go to Forest.
Yeah. West Ham offering refunds on his squad shirt as well, apparently.
Who brought his squad shirt number in the first place?
Exactly. I was about to say, it won't be a lot.
But why? This is what I don't get, because we know how he got these at set pieces. There's no one like him in that squad at set pieces in general, be it corners, free kicks, whatever. Why give him a new squad number just to turn him to piss off? Weeks later?
The thing is, they brought in a German guy, didn't they? Fulkrug, whatever his name, Fulkrug, who's dangerous at set pieces. And he literally just got rid of your best set piece taker. It doesn't make sense, but that's West Ham all over.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to ask you guys, because I've been on a couple of shows tonight, and we've all obviously the conversations have been very similar, but it's really good to get different people's opinions. And I'll be honest, when I started off today about this business with Sterling, I was really like, I don't like this. I thought he's not going to show any loyalty to the club. He's been bounding around the Premier League. But actually, the more I've been speaking to people and they've been opening my eyes about different things, that's why I came on here. And I'm like, no, actually, when I've stopped and reassessed this situation, this is good for us. And I think as a fan base, we have a habit of being quite emotional with this because we're so hungry for what we want. We do we do have no about the worst things. And I think it's good that we can sit back and go, actually, there's a plan here. But the one that's really surprised me is Ramsdale, because I understand he wants to play and I understand he hasn't had any play and he needed to go. But I don't think who we've brought in his replacement is better than what we've let go.
Don't start him off again.
Who was that?
Ryan. He's
oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. I have my thoughts on that, on the whole situation. So I've got it out of the system now. It's what it is. He's here for a year, so.
The thing I said to you, Ryan, before you cut off, I was just saying, surely it's a better deal. We've got rid of Ramsdale, who's on a significantly higher contract, and we brought in Neto, who's obviously he's not going to be on the same as what Ramsdale was on. So we've saved money there.
My main gripe in the end is we're paying his full wage, and unless Raya has a freak injury, we're not going to see him until January. And that depends on the FA Cup draw because he can't play in the League Cup because
this has been my problem with Arteta, and it is the only problem I've had with Arteta. He has taken his eye off the cups, which I hate that. And as I've said on about 3 streams tonight, we thought that Man United were never going to beat Man City last year in the FA Cup. They did. Now they're only one behind us in the record that we've got of how many FA Cups we've won. And I really, really think that the one thing I always gave Wenger credit for was he had his number one squad. We all know who they were, and we all know what fantastic things they did. But the reserve players always played the cup games, and he did that to get their legs out there. So if there was an injury, he could slot them in, and they were used to playing. Arteta didn't do that. Arteta has just been focused on the league and trying to get in the Champions League. And while I get that, I totally get that, I also think us taking our eye off the ball with the other 2 competitions, it's lowered morale. It hasn't given these players like Eddie, Emil, extra time and Rambo on the ball. And I think if actually we had played them in cup competitions, if we had said to any of those 3 players, you will have all the cup competitions this year, but you won't play in the league, I bet my life none of them would have left in this transfer window if they thought that they were at least going to play in the shirts that they loved. And that went for, I really do believe that. I mean, you guys might disagree with me, but I personally think that would have been the best way forward. And we would have had silverware, which is what people want.
Well, in terms of Smith Rowe, I know, I'm not going to say how, but I know for a fact he didn't want to go. He was forced out.
You can see it in the first game against Fulham. He looked like he was more at a funeral than a football game.
Yeah. But yeah, he wanted one more year to fight and prove his fitness and prove himself to Arteta and the club. And they was just like, nah, someone else wants to. We don't want to risk another year and things are worse, or you get an injury. We can't get what we can get for you now, basically. But just
don't you find it a bit weird though? Don't you find it a bit weird?
Sorry, I was just going to say as well, just a bit of an update on the Sterling thing. We're not even paying a loan fee for Sterling. Breaking that, there's no loan fee included in the deal for Raheem Sterling, despite Chelsea wanting one. I mean, as mentioned already, we're only paying a fraction of his wages.
So, this is my question to you, right? We've spent nothing, really, in this window.
Effectively.
We spent nothing. Like, you've talked about Smith Rowe. We got rid of Fiera as well. Sent him back on loan. Do you think we're balancing the books, or what do you think? Because I don't. I just sit there and think, like, is there an FFP problem? Is this the reason why?
From my point of view, I just think in terms of, from a point of view of wanting a striker or an out-and-out attacker, there hasn't, in terms of what Arteta wants in an attacker or a striker into his system, it's slim pickings this summer. And I don't. Yeah. Again, we're not like we were 6-7 years ago in the Unai Emery season era, whatever you want to call it, in the back end of Wenger's time, where we just signed anyone just for the sake of it, just to keep the fan base happy, even if they didn't fit the system. So, oh yeah, sure, let's bring this one in, let's bring that one in, just for the sake of it. They didn't fit the system. I mean, what was it? We lost 8-2. Remember, back in the summer, but over 10, 2012, 2013, something like that. One of the two.
Yeah.
8-2 we lost. Next day we're signing 5. Literally the next day the window was closing. We signed 5 players, and only one of them technically worked out in the end.
One of them was Arteta, wasn't it?
So yeah, actually to make that 2 then, because it was Arteta,
Yeah,
Mertesacker,
yeah.
Andre Santos, Zizon Park from Monaco. Never used the lad. Massive, great record in Ligue 1, but never used him at all. And there's someone else. There's a fifth. There's another one, but Benayoun on loan.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Do you know what? I was just thinking about him and actually thinking that I really liked him as a player. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I did really, and he was from Chelsea as well. But actually, you know what you're saying about Arteta? That was another weird thing that happened tonight. I was thinking to myself, this feels like that same year when is he coming? Is he not coming? It was a very similar situation, if you remember. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't think that we've done anything. Whatever happens tonight is not going to have a massive impact on the team that we have and the team that have been playing. The one thing I do think is very interesting, though, is that I don't think it's about us balancing the books. I think that the reason they've been very strategic in how they've done it and the etiquette of how they've done it, and I don't have any inside information, this is just me surmising, is because they know that the FA, they've already come down on Forest, they've already come down on Everton, there's this business going on with Man City, and Arsenal don't want to be a club that's going to have their books looked at for dodgy dealings. They want to do everything properly, and if they don't get them, they just go, right, we're not going. And unfortunately, that means that people then start going off at Edu and going off at Arteta. But where would you rather be? Would you rather that we miss out on them and then we get them later on because it's the right time to do it legally, or would you rather end up in a situation like Man City and be shitting yourself as an Arsenal fan that you're going to end up losing what you've built up? I know I wouldn't. But also, just to quickly, another point, I forgot about this earlier and then I remembered it. We got to look at the bigger picture for these players like Emil and Eddie and players like and Rambo. They don't only want to play for a club; they want to play for England. And Ramsdale's lost his. I don't think he's in the upcoming friendly or whatever. No. So these players, that's still going to benefit us, not as Arsenal fans, but as England fans. Because if these players are going to these clubs and they're getting played and they are going to excel, they're going to put that 3 Lions shirt on, and then they're going to be able to get us over the line we haven't been able to. And I think that's a bigger picture that no one's really looking at the moment.
Yeah, I said it earlier in the show. I totally agree with you. You know, balancing the books. I think all clubs. That's why the transfer window's been shrewd for everyone. You know, look at City. They haven't brought in hardly anyone. Liverpool, like we said, Chiesa, that was it. I think clubs are scared. They're scared. They've seen what's happening to Everton, Forest, potentially City. We hope and dream.
City as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
I do wonder.
It's been smart.
I do wonder as well, though, Pep Guardiola leaving next year potentially, because that does look like the case at the moment, don't it? Like, are we sitting there thinking, do you know what? Like, it's no point us gambling and spending money on players that we're not 100% that we need. We'll wait till next year and then go massively at it, because there's going to be a transition in there, Man City, when Pep does go, because like it was quite intriguing that they went back and bought Gundogan this year. Like, yeah, it's a good. Don't get me wrong, it's a great signing for Man City for the short term. But it doesn't really suit them for the long term, does it? When you think Kevin De Bruyne will be 34, 35 next year, Gundogan will be 36. Like, if he leaves and they've got to transform the team again, they're going to drop. And maybe we're looking at it as well and thinking, do you know what? We'll wait till next season, and then hopefully the players that we want to become available. Because as I said to you, in my opinion, left wing, striker could be the 2 upgrades potentially moving forwards. And what's that going to cost you? Probably big money.
As well, is and I'm still hearing it, and it's the one thing that makes me go, oh, just let me get away from you. There's still a contingency that's Wenger out, Arteta out. Still, probably there are people shouting Wenger out somewhere.
They're still there, yeah.
Right. And I think to myself, you are so short-sighted that I just want to kick you from here to bloody the other club in North London, because they are okay. Pep's contract's coming up. Yeah, he's going very soon. You got a 41, 42-year-old manager who is obviously the next. He is going places. We know the psychology of the things he's developing. We know what Arteta is doing. And you know what? He'll just step out of us into the Etihad. And he will, because he's still got connections with there. He said himself, the last game of the season, the first thing he did at the final whistle was text Pep. You know, he's still on. This is the relationships he has. So you're basically going to let go a manager because he didn't win you the league, and you finished second to the arguably the best team in the Premier League, second, and you're a team in transition. You don't have the financial capacity to compete with them, but you're finishing second. They didn't beat us last season. You want Arteta out, and he's going to walk into Man City. He knows all of our little secrets. He knows all the things he's developed. Oh yeah, great. Well done. Yeah, it's just such short-sightedness. It makes me so angry.
Social media fan nowadays for you, isn't it? Unfortunately,
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I blame the idiot of fraud in Spain, because well, it is. He's there.
No, I agree. I'm laughing because I agree.
He's there. He ran off to Spain for a reason. I keep saying it. I know the reason, but he ran off to Spain for a reason. I'm not going to go into it. And he literally spawns vile. I mean, literally, there's that watch along from last weekend, and the show, the little video that we at Liam we get clipped up on and all that every week. The face of disgust when Arsenal score on both goals is just like, oh no, I can't complain. Oh. And you got other people that follow him and idolise him, have their own YouTube channels that copy and paste him because he's got so many hundreds of thousands in this subs, and it's pathetic and it's annoying. Look at every time I see Arteta out or people saying Arteta already out like today. Yeah, yes, I've vented out about the whole goalkeeper situation in terms of who we've got to replace Ramsdale in. But I'm not here going, oh, that's it. Arteta got to go. Eddie's got to go. The club of fucking this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But there's people that are doing it, and I'm just like, you attention-seeking twats. It's like, go away.
Do you know
Look at where we were the second when Arteta arrived. Look at the squad that we had. He won something. I know it's in the pandemic, but he won something with that squad still. The Unai Emery Wenger hybrid squad, whatever we call it. He's now got his squad together. And yes, we haven't got over the line. Yes, like it's been mentioned, Arteta has sort of disregarded the cups in terms of league and FA, the League Cup and FA Cup for the full focus of winning the league and gets back in the top, in the Champions League consistently and all that. But so in terms of we sort of saw that with Klopp for the first couple of years that he disregarded the cups, like the domestic cups. He was full focus on the league and Champions League. And then eventually, once he got a squad good enough to compete in all levels, he went full hog on all four, and we saw what we saw. And they started to win pretty much. I think he won everything he could do in the end at Liverpool. I think he did, yeah, League Cup, yeah. So it comes to time. It's not a click of the fingers, as people mentioned. We're going up against a team with unlimited funds.
Yeah,
115 or not, unlimited funds that have been able to, one way or the other, legally or not, build a massive squad there's no drops in level, no matter the position. If the player needs replacing, the levels are still the same. The demand is still the same. Obviously, it comes from the manager, and I think we mentioned before, Liam, once Pep leaves, whenever that be this next end of this season or whenever, whoever comes in next, the levels will drop, the demand and all that will drop, and you'll see a bit of a come down and that sort of thing, more level playing field. And people go, but you spent £700 million in this or whatever we spent. But we had to spend the money to get back to the point where we are at to compete. So we're literally been touching distance now. We know it. We witnessed it last year. We're touching distance now from just getting past Man City to get onto that podium of lifting that league title.
The team
When Arteta arrived, when Arteta arrived and we finished, was it fifth? Again, a couple of years back. None of us sitting here at that time after finishing behind them lot for the Champions League spot thought the following season and then the season after that we'd be competing for a title.
No.
And that's where we're at. We are competing. It's just a matter of getting the switch. And I do think he has to take the cup seriously. Get that winning feeling in his squad now. It's good enough to win at least. If he wants to pick one of the two, along with going for the league and all that, fair, like whatever, cool. As long as we win one of them, because it gets that winning feeling, that confidence in them, and then they taste it, and they're like, I like this. I want to keep going now. And it might push them on for the rest of the season, especially if it's the League Cup, because it's the first trophy. Get that in the belt, and they love that, and they're like, ooh, couple months. It pushes on for the last couple of months of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think that it is, it's a big thing. I mean, the FA Cup is a big thing that we're proud of. The first time I'd been dating my husband for 6 months, and then he was going to meet my family for the first time, and I said, "Come around on Saturday," and he's an Arsenal fan as well. In fact, his chat up line to me was Wenger in or Wenger out. That was his chat up line. We stopped talking in a pub. That was because he was trying to talk to me and I was quite distracted by what was on the telly because we were playing. And he was like, "Oh, you like football?" I was like, "Yes." I don't even know who you are. I was weirdo talking to me. And then he said, "It's the FA Cup." I went, "Yeah." He said, "You want me to come round on FA Cup final day?" I went, "Yeah. Because if you can't take me and my family our best, you're not going to have us at our worst," or what, It's Marilyn Monroe quote, I think. I went around the wrong way. But he went, "Fair enough. We won. It was against Chelsea, if I remember rightly." But it was so funny because he was like, "You lot are nuts." Like the way we were just all like screaming, running around the garden, like, do you know what I mean? But that's what I miss. And I don't know about you boys, but I miss that. And I think that will give such morale back to the club, and also the FA Cup really should be taken more seriously. This is an opportunity where, I mean, I don't live too far from Maidstone football ground, and if Maidstone played Arsenal, what do you think? I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be buying drinks in the place. I wouldn't be shopping in the local area, and that's going to be people from all around the country that will do that. People from North London coming down. It's a big investment for these smaller clubs to play clubs like Arsenal, and we shouldn't turn our noses up at it because it's a great competition. It's great for English football. It's great for us. It's great for morale. And that's where I think exactly what you said, that's what's let us down. We focus too much on trying to get in the Champions League, which is amazing. But who really is sitting here going, we can win that? Because I'll be honest, I don't think we can.
Squad-wise, we're not ready yet.
No, we're not. We're not at all. Still nothing coming through on here. It's really annoying.
I think I'm going to have to depart.
He wants to go to bed. He's like, I'll be up in like a couple of hours' time.
Mate, I'll be up at 7.
The beers are calling, mate.
I know, mate. So breakfast is calling and beers.
Breakfast and beers are calling.
No, it's been good though. It's been good. It's been a good transfer deadline day at the end of the day. Like, it's been emotional. That's one thing I'll say, because when you see everyone on Twitter losing their heads, I'm sitting there saying to myself, I'm not going to lose my head. I'm not going to lose my head. I'm not going to lose my head.
How close was you though? Let's be honest. How close was you when Ornstein said nothing's going to happen now before he chose?
Mate, do you know what, mate? I knew it was bullshit. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, right? There was too much talk at the start of the day on Sky Sports about Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. There was too much talk about it. And I just thought about Ornstein when who was it? I'm trying to think what transfer window. When Ornstein, was it Partey? Yeah. And I was thinking he's got a history of this before, do you know what I mean? And I just knew, mate. And when I heard that Reece Nelson was potentially going to go, I knew we was getting Sterling. Like, there's no way we're letting Nelson go now, and we're not buying someone, or we're not getting someone in. So I didn't lose it, but I reckon I got to about 6:30, and I was sitting there thinking, mate, I am going to lose it by the end of the night if I don't bring someone in.
The big shock for me in this transfer window is that Grealish hasn't gone anywhere. And the reason I say that is because he didn't make the England squad because he didn't get the minutes. He's a squad player at City, but he was captain at Villa, right? I don't know. I'm just shocked there's not been rumbles that he's unhappy, because I'd be bloody unhappy if I was in his position. Saying that, though, I did Google Grealish to Arsenal earlier, and there is about 20 articles about rumours about him wanting to come to Arsenal. I'd have him at Arsenal.
Are they all written by Eduardo Hahn?
Probably.
Would you boys have him there?
I think he's good, but I like Jack Grealish. I think he's a really good player, but I think he's got lost at Man City. I think for two reasons. I think he lost his head after they won the Champions League. He just got on it, didn't he? And when you look at the rest of the Man City squad to pick him, like I don't think he's as professional as like the rest of them. And I think that's probably harboured his season last year. But I just don't. He hasn't got no numbers, has he, to his game? When you start looking at assists and goals, that's his biggest problem. Like, he's good at winning free kicks. He's good at. It'd been ideal in the Euro finals for me. Like, we needed him to come on in that Euro final for England, like, badly. But he just hasn't got. He reminds. I tell you, he's a totally different player. It's like Will Saha. Everyone went on about Will Saha, but you don't really get the goals and assists that warrants an 80 million or 100 million pound move. And I just think Jack Grealish doesn't have enough numbers in his game to justify why they paid 100 million for him.
Yeah, you see, the rumor I read about 3 or 4 weeks ago was they were only valuing him now at about 50 million, and that they would be happy to offload him for 40 to 45.
I bet they would.
So, but I'd quite like, the only thing that would put me off, and it is simply this. It is the same thing that would put me off about Mudryk. It's the same thing that would put me off about Tony. It's their personal lives and the way they conduct themselves. And we've worked really hard to get rid of that. We've had a lot of young, impressionable players that have come up. There's been a really nice atmosphere built, and players like Xhaka, who are their family people, they're he's always saying about how much he like reads his Bible and all these things. And he's a great role model for young people. He's always one of the people that I point to kids when they talk about like inspirational people, because he was a boy that his mum and dad went, "You're not signing unless you get like you complete your A levels," and he got straight A's. Like, let's give that to. And do you really want someone like Grealish destabilising someone like that? I'm not saying Xhaka's impressionable, but I'm saying we've seen it in the clubs in the past, haven't we? Drinking culture, gambling culture, whatever.
We saw it at us, didn't we, with the bad eggs of Aubameyang. All the Kolosinaches. How much did they make that dressing room toxic?
Well, it's also it looks like I think I said this earlier. I think we're going to see a lot more of Ethan this season. By the fact that we got rid of Fabio on loan, we're going to see a lot more of Ethan. And do you really want, as you're bringing him through now to the senior squad, someone like Jack there, like you just mentioned, having an influence and off the pitch and going, let's go have a drink, let's go have a party.
Have you ever seen that video of when they were at? I can't remember what competition it was. It was an England matches, and every day Jack Grealish was filming what Xhaka was having for breakfast. Did you see that come up on Instagram? And you could clearly see Xhaka's going along with it, but he's not very comfortable, and he's like thinking, "Why are you never filming your food?" Because Xhaka's food is the food of what athletes should be eating, and he's probably in the corner with a pint and a Greggs sausage roll.
Big Mac.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But
cigarette round the back.
Yeah.
I do think that he doesn't conduct himself in probably the most appropriate way at times. I think that was well noticeable when they won the Champions League. Don't get me wrong, I'd probably be the same as him. But when you start looking at Man City in a whole, and you've got the De Bruyne's, the Gundogan's, and all that, they win it, but they want to win it again, don't they? And then they don't go on a 2-week bender.
No.
Well, in terms of when he first league title, Champions League, and all that, fair enough. Go, but he's done it again this summer. He won the league again. He's like off in a bender again. It's like so every time your team wins a trophy, you're going off in a bender now.
He didn't participate. Well, he did participate in some way. That'd be harsh, but
not
when you buy a player for 100 million. When you buy a player for 100 million. Winning that title, he should have been a major piece of that team, shouldn't he? It should have been Jack Grealish scored all these goals and got all these assists, or done what Phil Foden done last year. Phil Foden really pushed Man City to the final last year. I know he had a shit Euros and we ripped him, but for Man City, he was player of the year and everything. That should have been Jack Grealish. Do you know what I mean? That shouldn't have been Phil Foden. Jack Grealish must be looking at Phil Foden and thinking, I'm a poor man's Foden at the end of the day. And he is. Because he's sitting on a bench doing fuck all while Phil Foden's fucking getting player of the year in the Premier League.
I thought the way they all played in the Euros was so interesting. Like every Man City player, whatever country they played for, because it's quite evident that Pep has built a team clinically that are drilled to play a certain way. Because when you put these players in with other players, they're shit. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, they are. Right?
Even Rodri,
dreadful. Absolutely, every single one of them was dreadful.
Even mentality monster Rodri. Let's be honest, he weren't all that in the Euros. He bottled the final as well. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he bottled the final.
Who's that?
Rodri. Mentality monster.
Oh, Rodri. Yeah. So, gonna wrap up though, guys.
It's
12 o'clock.
You got 7 hours. We have to be up. So
I've got to be at Strew train station at 8:35 in the morning. So I need to get some sleep.
You're travelling far in from me, then.
Shocking.
Where do you travel from?
Well, I live just outside of Maidstone, but if I get a train from here, it's £41 return.
Boom.
If I drive for 22 minutes to my mum and dad in Sidcup, it's £11.70 return.
Yeah, it's a joke, isn't it?
So I'll be going in the morning to my mum and my dad, have a cup of tea and a bacon sandwich and get the 9:30 train, and I'll be on my way. So and then go to London Bridge, Northern Line to Angel, and I walk from Angel to Arsenal. That's
it's a terrible journey. I've just literally got across the road over there. But yeah, that walk is terrible. I've got to cross 2 roads to get to the stadium. 2 fucking roads.
Lucky bastard.
And the poor sod's the only one that don't have a season ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It is an expensive sport. I'd say that much. It is an expensive sport, but it's a drug.
Oh, I mean, it is. It really, really is. I mean, like I wasn't very well about a month ago, and I mean, really like bedbound, not very well. And then the the Leagues of Africa kit come out, we call it. And the thing that we did to make so I could feel better and get walking around was go to Arsenal and get my shirt. Like that was my husband was like, "Come on, let's get you out." I was like, "All right, go on then." So, but yeah, it's so much easier getting off at Angel and walking though than having to deal with the Piccadilly line and getting through all that lot. And it's quite a nice walk from Angel actually, because you get quite in the mood for the game because you go past obviously Highbury and Islington and everyone's singing. And it was nice the first home game of the season. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't have that choice. The Piccadilly line comes out my way, so I'm literally the Piccadilly line all the way from where I am all the way down. I don't have to feed on going to that line, all that line, and going. Yeah,
that's a good thing though that you're so direct, really, because I mean I missed a game one season. What was it? 2 seasons ago, because Just Stop Oil decided to get on a train track, and I couldn't get to the ground.
Sounds about right.
And I'm like, it's electric. Why are you laying on a train line? Like you stopped me going to football.
Idiots.
Or you got the other lot that fucking super glue themselves to the train and go, but it's electric. It's literally the cleanest mode of transport in the UK compared to a car. You're now making us have to get out off the train to go to a bus or a car and put more fumes into the atmosphere, shall we say?
Do you know what? Before they brought in all these all the ULEZ and the 20-mile-an-hour zones, we used to drive from Sidcup to the Emirates, and my mum and dad used to park in one of the schools there that they hire out. They actually hire out their playground as a car park on match days.
Drayton Park.
Yes. Yeah, and it was like £400 for the year or something like that. We used to club together, and it was like a dream. My mum used to put the slow cooker on just before we left for the game. We'd do all that, get home, we'd have our dinner while watching Match of the Day. It was amazing. Thanks, Sadiq Khan. You ruined my football and all. So,
secret Tory.
Anyway,
let's get off politics because obviously Liam needs his beauty sleep.
Yeah. I do. I definitely do. I'll probably get woken up by 4 o'clock in the morning by Bobby or something.
I was about to say, what's the odds going to end all this? You're going to walk in and wake up one of the little ones.
Nah, I'm not going upstairs, mate. I'm going to sleep. I'll sleep on the sofa. Yeah. I'll just sneak in. But yeah, no, obviously, thank you everyone for tonight. We've gone on for 3 hours and 34 minutes, so we've gone through the rafters tonight. But obviously, thank you to absolute everyone who's jumped on tonight. Thank you to you guys for coming on at the end for us. I know Ryan's had an absolute nightmare, but at least you got on at the end, mate.
We got there eventually. As a sort of, I did everything it wanted to do the PC. It still was every time. The second I went, I came into the backstage. It started messing about. I was like, I can't be after this. So I just came out, grabbed the phone, off we go, and it's seamless. No issues whatsoever. So I'll be busy tomorrow, aren't I? Tomorrow morning, because I've got a stream to do.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Fingers crossed for tomorrow, though, mate.
Yeah.
I'll be fine probably now. Somehow.
But yeah, what time are you starting your stream tomorrow, mate?
It's 12:30 kickoff, isn't it? 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, midday I'll go live, go live, and do all the build up and all that. Yeah.
Cool.
Talk about
Sterling.
Hopefully Sterling will be there.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be in the ground. I'm sure he'll surely get presented to the crowd at some point. I think it'll probably be half time, won't it?
Yeah,
probably half time.
Yeah, so we look forward to that. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you very much. Doing the extra time part for us. No, absolute pleasure.
I always come off these things and go, did I talk too much? Was I too loud?
Nah, you're good. You're good. Honestly, you're good. Me and Jonesy needed waking up anyway, didn't we, Jonesy?
We did indeed.
Now we need to put him to sleep again. And obviously, thank you, Jonesy, for tonight, mate. Just obviously a quick one for tomorrow, mate. You've got your Bashing Berlin tomorrow watch along, haven't you?
Yeah, any of you WWE fans, the old wrestling, I still watch it, yes, and I know it's fake. But yeah, we're doing a live watch along tomorrow. It starts at 8, but I'll be online from 7. So yeah, come and join us if you want to.
Yeah, come and join us. Obviously, I won't be there, mate. I've got a party to go to tomorrow night, so straight from the football. I'm gonna have a few in the coronet, and I'm fucking off to a party. So yeah, good luck with tomorrow night, mate.
Cheers.
So yeah, obviously that. Sorry.
So you won't be rolling in until 8 in the morning then.
Nah, well, I've got Sarah with me, so it'll be appropriate hour.
Oh, you'll be okay. That's okay. No,
yeah,
no,
probably about 2-3 o'clock. Probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Nah, it's Dad's birthday, so yeah, it's going to be quite a big party. So yeah, it'll be a good night. Obviously, thank you to everyone else who's kind of joined us in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's been on tonight. So many names to kind of think about. But yeah, it all ended up with us signing Raheem Sterling and mugging off Chelsea in the process. It's not a bad night. So good night, everyone. Cheerio, 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 cheerio.